Welcome, everyone, to day one of bLU Talk's Amplify Your Message. And I'm just going to get the energy going this time, just a little bit, because I have to say that my watch is telling me that I have a very stressful day. And I'm like, I'm curious whether or not my watch is going to say that I have gained battery life, because I love this show. I love these people. I love the stories, like the co-hosts. It's magic to me. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. Then I'm going to ask Monique to tell us a little bit about her so that we know where she's coming from with her questions today. And then we'll bring on our first guest. So for those who have never met me, my name is Laura Lake, and I stand for courageous connection. And what people think that they want is to be seen and heard and understood. Yet underneath it all, what we're really feeling is that pain of disconnection. And so in business, we want to share our stories and we want to connect, but we tend to disconnect because we're avoiding all the things our audience is actually feeling and thinking and their habits. And so I just want us to courageously connect with that old version that is a response and a mirror to the people that we're trying to serve. So that's where I'm coming from. Monique, tell us a little bit about you, and I'll double check that we're actually live everywhere.
Okay. Laura, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be your co-host. I actually have spent some time on the show as well. And it is about that. It is about telling our stories and our connections. And connection is really important to me. I am a physician. My full name is Monique Nugent. And I'm a physician. I'm a practicing hospitalist, meaning that I only see patients in the hospital. And that's really where stories are key. And connecting is key. When people are really down, sometimes feeling the worst they felt in a while, scared about the thing that's coming next, the ability to get your story, the ability to connect with you, not only is tantamount to how well we're going to form this therapeutic bond and we're going to go through this journey together, but it helps me so much to understand the whole person, not just the problem, right? Not just like the infection, not just the cancer, the whole person who's experiencing this. And so I'm excited to be part of this and get some more stories and participate. So thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's always a delight, Monique. So we're going to
Oh,
bring up our
thanks.
first guest, Marcy, who is behind the scenes. Marcy, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to join us. Welcome to the stage. We were
Hi,
having quite
Marcy.
the laugh right before we went live.
There's always got to be time for laughter in all the work that we do.
Definitely. So I don't know if you know my secret to all my interviews yet as I get my pen ready, because I don't like typical interviews. I just don't want to hear your elevator pitch because I just feel like they drown out the human being, okay,
Mhm.
many times. So what I like to do is I like to shake it up a bit, and I want to get to know who Marcy is first. Before we learn anything else, I have this big question that I ask. So are you ready, Marcy, as I get Marcy?
All right,
Yes.
sister,
Tension.
send it to me. I'm ready.
Okay, here's the question. If you could have other people describe you in 3 words, what would you love those 3 words to be?
Warm, approachable, hilarious.
Those are
You were
great words.
prepared.
No, I just, approachable is my number one,
Yeah.
right? And there has to be warmth with that. And when we think about it, the best times of our lives are when we're laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I can be a little part of that and make people laugh, then I will sacrifice my own dignity at times for that.
So did you hear about this question? Did you
No,
study for this?
sister. No, listen, Laura, I spend a lot of time thinking about these things. Writers are contemplative folks. And I'm very committed to self study.
Mhm.
And so I do think a lot about how I want to show up in the world, what quality I want to bring into a room, what impression I want to leave when I go, right? And like I'm all about making friends, speaking
When
from the
when
heart.
did you realize that that was so important to how you move through the world, being that conscious about who you are when you're in the room and, like you said, the feeling you've left behind you?
Oh gosh, you are hitting me with the most personal thing right out of the gate.
Yeah.
The last 3 years have been the most transformative in my life personally. Some of the hardest. I moved from my hometown, my family, my friends to buy a house on my own as a divorced woman. And I couldn't do so in the real estate market I was living in. So I had to leave. Around the same time, I started to focus on renovating this cute little house that I bought. And I had less time for some of my old friendships. And I came under attack from some of those friends for not being as available as I once was. Then I moved to a new town, of course, where I knew no one. I was renovating a house, which was terrifying with the help of my brother. I paid him, just to be clear. But there were so many unknowns. And I realized that I had sort of parked my personality or my identity, if you will, for the last 20 some years in everything that is familiar. And so when that rug of familiarity was pulled out from under me, there was a lot of, I'm going to say this word, loneliness. There was a lot of loneliness and a lot of fear. I actually think my next book might be about loneliness. I'm so fascinated by this topic. When I say loneliness, the image that comes up immediately is like the loner, the loser, the one with no friends, the lone gunman, if you will, you know. But I think everybody experiences loneliness. And I had to wade through these 3 years, which were an enormous amount of change for me, and say, who am I when everything that's familiar is peeled away? And how do I want to rebuild this personality? Because I had based it on something that was really not that true or substantial. And so when you ask me, Monique, that is the most personal question right out of the gate. How did I become who I am now? It was through loss, pain, rejection, and loneliness. And the person sitting here with you today is so happy and so at peace. But man, I waded through it. I really did to be here right now.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you have shown the transformative power of those things that like we seek so hard in our lives to avoid, right? Like outside of the gym, we don't think that pain is gain.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a great point. I have a friend, one of our authors, Greg Gregorian, talks about the 5 crucibles. He believes we have 5 crucibles, mental, physical, emotional, financial. I forget what the other one is, maybe intellectual. He believes we have a crucible that we must go through. And I remember always being surprised when something went wrong. Like, whoa, why are things not just rolling along beautifully? And I have a different perspective on it now. I'm not a pessimist. It's not like, oh, things are going to go wrong. The wheels are going to fall off the bus. No. Now I'm prepared. Now I go, wow, life is this dance, or if you wanted to, it's up and down the hills. And it's okay. And when we know that that's kind of how life goes, it's, maybe it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Now we're prepared. I'm prepared to be thrown off balance, right? And because now I know that I can rebuild, I can overcome. And pain, yes, pain is helpful when you're in it. You're like, I don't like this. I don't like this, right? But it's so helpful for us to find peace, to find joy, to find gratitude, and also to push the limits of what we think we can do and who we think we can be.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome.
I love that you. No. I love that you're like, I'm in it. Good. I'm so happy. Very happy.
Yeah.
So
Marcy gave me no choice, okay? Because I can't lie. I cannot lie.
I love that you brought it around to, this is why I'm prepared, because you answered that first question, probably the quickest of anybody that I know that has never heard the question before. Some people answered quickly, but they already knew the question, so they were prepared. But I also loved that you narrowed in exactly where I like to have conversations with my clients. because they talk about stories. We all know that stories are very important. As a writer, you know, you tell your clients too, stories are very important. But you hit on those emotions that you felt in the deepest, darkest, most horrible struggle moment that you could think of. But now I want to challenge you, because I already know you know the answer to this. If we think of those words that you used, and I wrote them down, the loss, the pain, the rejection, the loneliness, what are the equal and opposites that now you feel because you went through the trenches, because you actually learned instead of somebody giving you the answers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's really a reclamation of self. I think as a little girl, I really knew who I was. And I was giggly and silly and funny and a bouncing little jumping bean. And then I became fearful. You know, at the first sign of criticism, that's the wolves at the door. You know, as soon as your hair reaches your shoulders, people are saying, who's your boyfriend? Do you have a boyfriend? You know, you're defined in such a way as a woman by how attractive are you and who can you attract? And you bounce around for several years. And then there comes a time where you go, gosh, I remember her. She was hilarious. She was clever. She was fun. And I found her again. And that feels peaceful. And it feels so optimistic and reassuring and bold. I feel bold. And also on the other side of that, I have some boundaries now, which I may not have had before, because when you're a love warrior, right? You're a love warrior like we all are. We go through life loving people as best as we can. You know, sometimes you sacrifice that self-love in order to love other people really well. And I was certainly guilty of that. And when I said, oh, no, keep pouring into the tank, keep pouring into the tank. The more you pour in, the more love you have to go around. And that requires saying no. And that requires giving up things maybe that other people wanted you to do or how they wanted you to be. You know, then you just have way more. Now I feel in so many ways like life is just beginning.
Yeah. I think
How
that's,
has okay,
sorry.
one question.
Yeah, no, I think
Okay.
what you said is like the parallel. I have three little girls right now. And the youngest is 3, and she has nothing but boundaries.
Teach me.
Right? No, that's not what I want. That's not what I said. You can't come here. Don't touch this. Leave me alone. I want to take a nap. She has nothing but boundaries. But I see that she's also nothing but like joy. And I wonder, like, as women, as we grow up, how much do we give up our inner joy because we've given up our boundaries?
Yeah.
Right? So like if I'm constantly poking at her, you see it. She starts crying. She's upset. She's immediately uncomfortable. But we're taught to like grin, bear it, be ladylike, be a mother, be a wife, be a sister, be a daughter, which means that you're a caretaker. But you're like poked at over and over again. And you know, that hurts. And so
Yeah. I mean, don't they call it the second shift, right? You know, you can be a working woman, but then your whole second shift is care of the home, care of the meals, remembering birthdays. There's an emotional psychological weight that's involved in being a woman that has been identified as the second shift, meaning it doesn't matter how many hours you're putting in at your job, you still have another full-time job that you're doing all the time.
Yeah.
And you're right, when we are constantly being poked at, and because we've been labeled as the nurturers and the caregivers, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm wearing a frilly pink dress today because I love femininity. I love my femininity. But we also have to remember that being feminine is also being the wise matriarch, right? And femininity is, being the goddess. You know, that's when I say goddess to you, that evokes something different than caretaker.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is also boundaries, right? Like you don't cross the queen. There's a way that you interact with a queen, right? You know, if you're going to come here, you have to present yourself. You know that she's going to have expectations. She's going to have boundaries. You know, it's the same thing. Like there's no movie where like Athena was like, hey, everyone just come on in and do whatever you want. And it was like, no, I'm Athena. I'm the goddess of love, beauty, all things wonderful. You will act accordingly.
Yeah.
I have a boundary. And I think we lose that. This is really awesome.
Well, I think, and right, because as soon as we start to assert ourselves, we're unpleasant. You know, it's like, oh, that, you know, crabby woman, or there's worse words for it, you know, and yet, you know, other people can go around setting boundaries and speaking up for themselves, and they're, you know, they're just going about their day. So I do love that. You know, I always think about like, this is dating me, but I channel my Claire Huxtable. You know, do you remember?
She had a lot of boundaries.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Oh man, she was the best, right? And I just, as a mom, as a leader in the home, I think, oh no, where do you think you're going with that? You know, my kids are now all in their 20s. I have 3 kids in their 20s, and when they come here, you're in mom's house, you know, and mom has ways that she does things. And I'm your mother, but you're in your 20s. You're a guest. You're a guest in my home. Act accordingly, right? And you don't have to say a lot. You do not have to say a lot. You just, it's a power that you carry. It's something that comes from within. And when you feel it, other people know it without, it's like certain people wouldn't approach you for certain things. Certain men wouldn't say certain things to you because of the way you carry yourself. You know, you don't have to say anything to them. They wouldn't dare come to your door with some kind of expression. And that's just something that you embody. It's an energy that you hold. And that's something I've been having a really good time playing with.
I want to pause just for a moment to like reframe everything that we just talked about, because it's a lot and I could dive so much deeper. But yet, at the same time, okay, Marcy, you told us a lot about your past and divorcing, you know, your friends going, you're not the same person that you were before. And all of the mental shifts that you had to go through to get to where you are. We mentioned writing. Can you reframe a little bit of that story into sharing what is your message? Like, what are you trying to share with people so that we can kind of have something that we can go copy paste and tell other people?
Well, I mean, on a personal note, my message is the title of my book.
Oh,
yeah. And so my book is called, I've got it right here. It's just a little book, 100 pages. Okay. It's not going to necessarily change your life, but my message is, beautiful humans, there's nothing wrong with you. And so this book is all about self-responsibility for healing, but it's also about abundance versus lack. I don't need another person to tell me that I have to be prettier, thinner, smarter, make more money, whatever. And so my book, which is about your responsibility to self-heal and show up with love, it starts from a place of you are enough, and all the messages you've heard to the contrary are wrong. You need to start right there, right? Be Monique's 3-year-old daughter. I know who I am. I know what I want. And go out into the world and build on that instead of comparing, letting people tell you you're not enough. So you don't get a job. So you don't get the person you wanted to date. So you're not making the money you want to make. None of that is a reflection of your inner worth. Right? Those are outer circumstances that we have the power to change. The thing that is unmutable is the self-worth component. And that's what I'm all about, is holding up a mirror to, you know, for example, in our company, every writer that we work with who comes to us writing a memoir, a thought leadership book, or whatever it is they're writing, say, you've got it all. Now go deep and bring it out so we can put it into a format where others can receive the communication.
Yeah.
Period.
It kind of sounds like we're in a relationship and I have thoughts and I'm not sharing my thoughts with you. I'm just expecting you to read my face. And you're like, I just don't get it. No, we need to pull it out of your brain. Either through your mouth, through your hand, like through something.
Yeah.
Into a tangible form for everybody else.
Yeah. I think I'm also a writer. I also wrote a book. And my book is called, I'll do my shameless plug, Prescription for Admission. But it took me a long time to write the book because I felt like I had something to say, but I didn't feel like I was worth to say it. You know what you were saying, like, you're good enough. There's nothing wrong with you, and you would think like your book is about helping patients and family members, and that's what you do in your day to day. And I'm like, yeah, but there's like someone else on TV who wrote it, and she's like, she's thinner and she's on TV, and so like, uh, but like, and I worked with a writing company who did the same thing, and I think I probably should have paid them like more out of my flex spending for mental health and therapy, because they spent more of their time correcting my feelings of doubt and self-worth than my commas and capitals and grammar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they spent more time being like, no, you can do it. Pull it out of you. Put it down. You're worth it. People will get something from it, and I don't know what it is. It's, what you were saying, like, you're enough. You're enough. Put it down. You have worth and experiences. Write it. Other people will benefit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what we experience. My business partner, Alex, and I, every writer that we work with, we do have to spend some time dealing with imposter thoughts. I'm not going to call it syndrome because it's not a permanent condition.
No.
It is imposter thoughts, and they can be corrected. But really, we do see a remarkable level of healing that takes place during the book writing process, overcoming. It can be healing of traumas. We're not psychologists. They write it out. Invariably, the person who starts the book with us and finishes it in 6 to 8 months, some people take a year if they know ahead of time they've got a busy life. They're a very different person at the end of the process than they were at the beginning. And that's really a beautiful thing to see.
So then what you should be telling all elementary schools and high schools is that over the course of the year, it is mandatory for you to write some personal stories, even if you don't have to share it with your teacher.
Yeah, for sure. But I do think sometimes, the English programs in school do a disservice. We have one writer who came to us and said, I want to write a book, but I haven't even finished high school. And his book is turning out brilliant. He's also a multimillionaire, so he's figured a few things out. We have another writer who came to us and said, hey, I've been running banks for 30 years. I've only done bullet points and emails. I don't know how I can write a book. His book turned out beautiful. So I think for me, I was one of the lucky ones where my English teacher took her magic wand and tapped me on the shoulder and said, you're a great writer. But lots of times if you aren't told that, or like you really can't write, it's very unfortunate because what we're finding is anyone can write. And not only that, but like explore your voice. This is why we have so many voices. This is why my playlist in my car is different than your playlist and your playlist, because different voices resonate with each of us. And so that's why everyone should write a book. Everyone should do it, because you don't know who is going to be moved by your voice. And why would you want to take that away, miss that opportunity for connection?
Oh, on that note of English teachers, since you brought it up, I remember very clearly, because to me, this was like a mini traumatic, not high traumatic, but mini traumatic moment for me. I was not very good at writing summaries, okay? Because to me, everything was important because of the way that my brain works. I play movies in my head. If I don't have enough details to play a movie, it goes in one ear and out the other, okay? So my summary was 7 pages. I get my assignment back from the teacher, and at the top in the red pen that they used to use, it says, you will never be a writer.
Oh.
And this was probably 2 years after I made the finals for a poetry contest. And then I sent the very last final submission to the wrong address. And I have no idea if I would have won or not.
Oh, ouch.
So I went from thinking that I was a good writer to I will never be a writer.
Wow.
And so I didn't write for like 20 years because of that teacher.
So mean.
Yeah.
And then we meet people like you, Marcy, who are like, you can do it. And then we're like, wait, what? And then we pour it all out, and that old version of us is gone.
It's not even so much that they want to do it or that you want to do it. Sorry, Monique, I'll go real quick. It's that we know that therapeutic journaling or expressive writing heals. It actually can heal physical symptoms in your body. This is what Dr. James Pennebaker from University of Texas, all of his research was about. He did this in the 80s and 90s. And Andrew Huberman has a whole 2-hour episode on Dr. Pennebaker's work. And so we know that writing out your stories is incredibly healing, not just for your mental health, but for your physical health. And I think what people need to remember is it doesn't matter if it gets read or not sometimes. It's about the experience of writing it out and telling your story, the freedom. It's like my daughter always had a diary. And I knew where it was kept. I knew it was kept between her mattress and her box spring. And you know that I never once opened my daughter's diary. Never once. I always knew where it was.
Speak to my mom.
Well, your mom, that is a no, right? Because you need this safe space to express, right? And we don't need to know. It's none of our damn business. And then if the writer decides they want to share their story, that's when you bring a developmental editor like me in, or a book coach. Okay, now you're ready. And that's the thing. But this is what I would say to all of you listening today. Just write your damn book and you can decide later whether you want to share it, right? Anyway, sorry, Monique, I cut you off way back when.
No, you didn't. I was just responding to that really hurtful statement from your teacher, because writing is also a skill, and you change. It's something that as you do it, you get better with time. Your style changes. You find your voice. You find your voice in different settings. Yeah. Right. So I write nonfiction. But the voice I use for my nonfiction writing is very different than the voice that's in my journal. And so like to tell a child, you'll never, I'm sorry.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, just like how many have heard that though?
Well, in my experience, a lot of people do come to us and say, I'm no good. I can't write. I can't spell. People are so hung up with spelling and grammar and things like that. And we're like, oh my gosh, we have Grammarly. We have Grammarly. We have spell check. Like, just relax. But the ideas, this is what I'm more interested in, is the free flow of ideas and expression. And the thing that's the most fun is finding your voice. How it is you express. That's the most fun for a writer, because everybody kind of starts out mimicking their favorite authors. Or, if you're a doctor like Monique, you're like, I better sound pretty doctory here. All the other doctors I've ever heard. But then it's those voices that are so authentic that you can't deny. Like, that's where the connection comes from, is that authenticity in the voice. You guys floored me with your opening questions here. And I had no choice but to be incredibly authentic. And that's the parts where people are leaning in, right? And I mean, I can sit here and talk about the benefits of writing all day, but really it's about the writer and the experience they're going through and finding the voice to tell their story in a manner that feels so true to them. And that's really where I think the changes in our brain occur, for sure.
So why writing? Why not be a speaker or a singer or an artist or, I don't know, anything else?
Well, I actually, grew up wanting to be Carol Burnett. All my friends would sit in the snowbank. They would all sit in the snowbank at recess, and I would act out Mrs. Wiggins, and my friends would laugh. And that's really what I wanted to do, was comedy. But comedy doesn't pay, and comedy is pretty subjective. And but I always wrote, and I always told stories. And I was the person who spent hours and hours in her bedroom on her bed, either reading or writing. And so I've done a lot of things, including raised 3 children. And I was a yoga and meditation teacher for a long time, a trainer of other yoga and meditation teachers, really studying Eastern religion, or Eastern health, I should say, not so much religion. television. And I loved all of that. And I had a beautiful little yoga studio in my home where I mostly worked with people in chronic pain, doing restorative yoga and fascia release. And then the pandemic hit. And I remember I went to visit my brother-in-law, Dave, who is one of my closest friends, my sister's husband. And he was in career counseling, entrepreneurship at the time. And I said, what do I do now? And he said, it's obvious. Write your book. And I was like, no, who wants to hear it? And so this book that I wrote, it didn't have an editor. I threw it together. It's probably a 7 out of 10, knowing what I know now about how to put together a book. Some of the ideas I stand by, but it's sloppy. It's a little bit, the structure is a bit loose. But that really changed everything for me, because writing a book was so isolating and slow, and I didn't have feedback. And when I came during the pandemic, this is where I met my business partner, Alex Morin, in a high-end coaching program. I was doing a ton of mindset training and sales training. He was there. He had a podcast called Almost Enlightened. So what has occurred to see to this man in this training? I thought, I'll listen to a couple episodes of his podcast. Well, it was hands down some of the best writing I'd ever heard in my life.
Aww.
And so in this group, we would get together online at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. We would study Napoleon Hill, Thomas Troward, and the like. And so Alex and I had an appointment online to meet and discuss and study these works. Well, we get online and I said, I listened to your podcast. I really like it. I have a little bit of feedback on one episode. Do you mind if I give that to you? And he was like, no, please, please. So I gave him feedback. I said, you floated this idea. You didn't really close the loop on it for me in a satisfactory way. And he's like, who are you? And then I said to him, I wrote a book, and it was not a great experience despite having an honors English literature degree and being a trained journalist. Writing a book was hard. So if it's hard for me, it must be hard for other people. And I said, Alex, will you create a company with me to help people write books? And he did not hesitate. That morning at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, he said, yes, let's do it. And that's almost 5 years ago. And we work with anywhere from 8 to 12 authors at a time. And the books keep getting finished. And Alex is like me. Everything is heart-based. Our business is completely heart-based. We have to make sure the writer is okay, that the writer feels loved, supported, safe, because I believe when we feel safe, then creativity can really flow. And so that's why books, that's why writing, because I love them. They're my friends. I revere them. They're my greatest educational tool. But I also think writing is such a gift, right? And so, I'll never tire of it.
You are speaking my language the way that you were talking about book writing. I was like, yes, this is everything that I want from the people in this community. My heart hurts because it's like swelling all at the same time with joy and love, not hopefully anything else.
Well, either that or we're just all book nerds, Laura, on this call.
You know what? I didn't read my first chosen, not school demanded of me, but chosen novel until I was 20, 21. I was an Archie Comics and Nancy Drew girl.
Nothing wrong with that.
Drew,
it was amazing.
That's a novel.
She had a lot of drama going on. Archie's Comics had a lot of drama. So many interesting triads.
I used to read the Babysitter's Club. Remember that series? And my mom said that, she would hear me laughing and carrying, this Sarah. Like, she's like, it was almost as if you were just chatting with friends, the way you were just pulled into those books. And I loved them. And they become your friends. They become a world that you can think of, and how did they navigate that? And I remember when they did that. So
Before I ask you where to find you, I just want to add the power of books in here. Oh, and Andrea said, love this chat, fellow bookworms.
She is a huge, hi Andrea, she's a huge bookworm that one.
Nice. So the one thing that I wanted to share, just to make you laugh a little bit, was my mom bought us horse riding tickets because they were like Groupon type things. So we went horse riding, and the first thing they asked was, does anybody know how to ride a horse? And I like half very kind of cautiously raised my hand, and they're like, what's your experience? I'm like, I read the Saddle Club books. And they were like, okay. And then they put me on a horse, and I could ride the horse because I read the book.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's hilarious, right? Because to book readers, we're living the experience. We're going through it. That's why I'm very careful with books with trauma and books with violence and all these things. Like I'm in it. Like my body does not differentiate what's real and what's imaginative when I'm in a book, right? And so I'm so careful about it. And you two were talking about your first books. Of course, I poured through the Scholastic Book Club order when I was in school, and like my mom and dad indulged me in every book I wanted to purchase. But for me, the biggest thing was vacations at my grandmother's houses, because both of them had entire stacks of Harlequin romance books. And so I was 14 years old, like way too young. And my sister and I just devouring these Harlequin romance books. And oh my gosh, we laugh now when we think back to it. Like our grandmothers didn't even care. They're just like, yeah, those are some good romance stories. Have at it.
In a minute, I'll share a story, but I want to be mindful of time to like with the interview thing. So I'm like, daughter's name as a reference. Okay. So before we run out of time, Marcy, can you tell us where to find you and your favorite way to communicate?
Oh gosh. Okay. So of course you can find us at our website, workingwritersco.com. And there's about 4 or 5 places on that website to click and book a Calendly chat with me and Alex. Okay. Like book your 30 minutes. Okay. So that's super easy. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can email me, marcy@workingwritersco.com. But my favorite way to connect is through Instagram chat. Right. Like I just love that when people send me a chat, they see something on our Instagram, comment on it, leave a voice memo. I'm all about the voice memos. I love that. If you want, the quickest way to get access to me is to leave me a voice memo and be like, I was thinking about what you said. And by the way, I think I have a book. And I just love that. I'm all about that. I do voice memos constantly. So you can reach us. So our Instagram's Working Writers Co. Everything's Working Writers Co. As in writing that works. We put you to work when you're writing. I don't know, any combination of those words you want to use. Let's be honest. Writing is not a walk in the park. It is a discipline. It is a craft. And so, I always say it's 10% inspiration, 90% craft, or the act of writing is the act of applying the seat of the pants to the seat of the chair. At some point, you got to show up and do the work. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have about a minute and a half left. I'd love to leave space at the end of an interview, just in case there's something on your mind or in your heart that you wanted to share. So what would you love to leave people with?
I would love to, and I think, as I say, this might be a theme for an upcoming book. I would like to say, if you're feeling lonely, I want you to try to remove the shame, the stigma that's around loneliness, and just accept, as I have, that it's part of the human condition. That sometimes we feel hungry, sometimes we feel lonely, and just get on with the business of living, right? And as opposed to dwelling there and living in that stigma that has come along with that word. That was my greatest transformational moment in my most recent years that I explained to you, is just owning that loneliness and not running from it, not feeling like it was a hot stove I didn't want to touch. And I think when you do that, that is really where you start to overcome, you start to change.
Aw, I love that. So I will call this moment the official close of the main portion of the interview. Okay. But I do invite you to stay for the next 4.5 minutes or so, because I like to use this space as a fun way to give you easy stuff for social media, but also as a recap of what stood out to you during our conversation. So I'm going to start with Monique right now. Monique,
Yeah.
what's something that stood out to you during our conversation with Marcy?
Like I said earlier, the fact that you showed that pain, loneliness, um, change comes out sometimes with a better version of you, right? Rebuilding ourselves. And I'm in this place. I'm currently in this like sandwich generation experience, like little kids, older parents, um, trying to be me, figure out who I am and build my career. Um, and I can think back to different points where I felt lonely in my motherhood, where I felt, lonely in my career, um, and the change that came from it, right? What you said about loneliness, um, because it's not just a lone wolf person who like can't make friends and is awkward at the gym. You can be lonely in different aspects of who you are. Lonely in your marriage, right? Lonely in your friendships, lonely in something. And then hunker down, slog through it, like you said, and come out with a change for the good. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
What about you, Marcy? What's something that stood out to you?
Well, you two really, put me to task right out of the gate here. But I love it because there's nothing I love more than a heart-led conversation that's honest and authentic. And you both really pulled me right into that space immediately. And so this has been very worthwhile. And I think that if people feel they don't have enough of this in their lives, to seek it out, just to, find people that they can be this honest and real with. And don't waste a minute of your life pretending, pretending you've got it all together, pretending that, everything is okay. Instead, connect with people, and they get something in return when you share.
We very much do. Because I was just checking my watch because I'm like, how's my body battery? Did I gain
I hope I've improved your experience according to your watch, Laura.
It has slowed down. I have moments of excitement, but had slowed down the amount of draining. So I knew it.
Okay, I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Hey, Monique, let's take that as a compliment.
Yes. I'm like, I wonder what it's going to be like by the end of the day of the 5 interviews. So, okay, what's something that stood out to me? A couple things. One was, for some reason, I did not put together that writers would be very deep thinkers. I'm like, of course, now that you said it earlier, I'm like, duh. But as a whole, the type of people who like to write tend to be those people that can do a lot of the internal processing. I cannot do a whole lot of internal processing. I have to like get it out of me and then put it back in. So I like the process of writing for that. Very enjoyed that insight. The second thing was that story about my daughter's name. So you mentioned that you went to your grandmother's house and she had a bunch of the Harlequin romance novels.
Yes.
I've never read one, and that you were quite young. My daughter is named after a book series and a video game. But the book series is, here's the best way to describe it: Game of Thrones meets 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, wow.
And I told her, I was like, okay, I have the book with you on the front. I invited the author to our local convention, sci-fi convention, got the book signed by the author, and told her she can have it on her 16th birthday.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
is coming up in a few months. So she's all excited.
That's so cool.
She's write a test and read a book. Driver's test, because she'll be.
Shows you great. Well, you know what? There's room for. We all have to. That's the great thing about writing, is it does expand our own minds and our own self-reflection as well, right? So she's going to grow through that experience, just as we have grown through certain books that we've read, right? And and just to respond to you, I didn't think of writers as deep thinkers. Writers are always looking for patterns. They're always looking for ways to summarize and categorize our experiences, to reflect culture back to us. That's what writers do. And so thank goodness for writers. right? Because sometimes they'll capture the collective consciousness in a book. And those are the books that everybody talks about, or the books that are banned, that people want to burn, right? When you hit a nerve, right?
Oh, yeah. When you hit a nerve.
I'm here for all of it. I really, really am.
Do you want to say hi to your business partner before?
Oh, sure. I see him all the time.
Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, good. Say hello, and then we'll say goodbye to Marcy.
Hey, Marcy, how are you?
Hi, buddy. I'm great. These two are pressing interviewers. They got some big
to warn him.
I'm sorry. So have a great time, buddy. You're going to love every minute with these two. I sure did.
Fabulous. Good stuff. Well, great to see you, Marcy. We'll catch up later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, Marcy.
Bye. Thank you, girls. I'm looking forward to the interview. Seeing it when it
was
comes
great. It was great to chat with you, Marcy.
Okay. So welcome to the stage, Alex. I figured you at least wanted to say hello.
Yeah, that was lovely to see Marcy on the way out, for sure. Thanks for that opportunity. And hello, Laura. Nice to see you. And hello, Monique. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
First question before I get into my typical starting question is, did you coordinate on purpose?
I didn't. I'm the kind of guy who just picks what I feel like picking in the morning. I suppose a lot of people are like me. You know, you just sort of think of a color and you're like, oh, yeah, I think it's going to be pink. And then you look through the closet and see some T-shirts, and this was the one. This was the one.
It worked. It worked out. Okay, so here's how I usually start. And you had a bit of experience with this, with the networking.
Okay.
It's kind of the same, but now it's one-on-one, or I guess two-on-one. So Alex, as I write your name down, Alex, if you could have other people describe you in 3 words, what would you love those 3 words to be?
Energetic, compassionate. Wise.
Ooh.
It took a while to get to wise. What was happening there?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've seen Laura ask this question before on our networking events, and it's not always the same answer, right? So you have to, same thing with picking your clothes. You kind of go with what you're feeling at that particular moment. And I feel like my energy is just at a certain place today. And that was the answers that were going to come out. So yeah, that was why, Monique, for no other reason than it just felt I waited for the right answer to come.
So my only follow-up to that, these are the only 2 questions I prepare at all.
Yeah.
Is how do those 3 words, energetic, compassionate, and wise, how do they play a key role in the core message that you have for people?
Well, we could run the whole interview around that question. Let's start with energetic. Look, my belief is that we're all energy. We're a mass of energy. That's what matter is. It's particles flowing around, and then behind that is even more energy, and it extends infinitely. So I see myself as being part of that energy, and I have a lot of it. I always have. And if you ask me, how would 3 people describe you? I would say energetic. They would say Alex flows with energy. He brings it everywhere he comes. And I feel that. I feel that in the interactions I have with people. I feel that in my own self. I feel the energy flowing. So yeah, that's a word that comes to mind when you ask. And then compassion, that would be something that's more recent. The energy's always been there for me, but compassion is something that I've become much more aware of over the last 5 years. I would say that for a lot of my life, I lived it analytically and in the mind. And we had a close call with our son in 2020. And that close call changed everything for me. It allowed me to change my job. It allowed me to change my viewpoint. It was the entrance to a life of compassion. And so I live and I breathe compassion now. I just love what it does, and the opening of the heart, and it relates directly to the energy that we were just talking about, right? Because if I am energy, this heart has nothing but electromagnetic signals that are being sent out. And that is just a beautiful form of energy that's both can go out and can come in. So it's, I would say compassion has been just a wonderful element that's been added to my countenance over the last 5 years. And then lastly, the word wise. Yeah, like I would say prior to 5 years ago, I would have called myself smart, and I would have been missing the boat. I think, yeah, I know a lot of things, and that's always fun in a game of trivia. But in a game of life, being wise is much more fun because it includes the notion that others are wise as well. And so there's an unlimited ability to be able to tap into knowledge when you're wise and you surround yourself with wisdom. And that's easy to do because everyone has a wisdom, and so do all natural things as well. So I could look at the trees outside and learn tons from the trees because they're so wise. And I could do likewise with pretty much anything out there. So those are my 3 words for the day, Laura.
I like those. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to see what you said before. And I'm going to compare.
Sure. Yeah, I like that.
You know, as you spoke, I saw how interconnected all of those words were.
Interesting. Yes.
I will admit that in the beginning, I was like, those are great words. But as you speak about it, they flow into each other, right? Like, it's not just your energy. We all put out energy in the world. We're all out there. Our energy is always intermingling with each other. We've all like run into someone and run into their energy first, where you're like, oh, like, something's going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And in order to really feel people's energy, give your energy to those people, you have to be compassionate, right? And like you were saying, that compassionate it's a life-changing thing. Once you open yourself up to others and their experiences, then it changes your world, and then it changes your energy, but it also makes you wise, because the thing about wisdom is experience. Smart, like I see what you're saying. Like, there are a ton of people who are smart. We've all met really smart people, and you can be smart about a thing, but then you meet someone who's been doing that thing for a while, and they're wise about it. And they're wise about it because they have the experience, and they have the experience because they have opened themselves up, and their energy, and the reason that they can open themselves up is because they have found compassion. And I was like, wow, those 3 words, they flow right into each other.
Right
like,
on,
as you were
Monique.
talking.
Yeah, that is really cool connection. And I see that. I feel that. Yes, there's a definite connection between those 3 words. How neat.
Yeah.
One more reflection back at you, Alex, is you used the word connection. And I was just about to say that all of those words require a connection with someone or something else. So with that insight, I'd love to know if you could like give us this neat little package that we can copy paste, tell other people. What is your core message when it comes to that connection with the people that you're trying to serve?
Well, let's analyze that. Your statement is that those 3 words require a connection with other people, right?
Or things.
And something to that effect. And so that's interesting. You're right in many senses. In order to, you asked me, how would someone describe me? So that's an interaction. Someone's going to see that energy. Someone's going to feel that compassion, and someone might benefit from the wisdom or connect with the wisdom, connect with me on the wisdom part. Interestingly, where I want to go with this is that there is no connection to anybody else unless you feel it yourself, right? So this was, it's funny, like this was somewhat a recent discovery to me. I've known it academically for a long time, but I was able to put it into practice quite recently. And it was an exercise I did during some psychedelic assisted therapy that I did recently, and it was marvelous. And on my intention list was the intention to expand my relationship with my wife, and in doing so, during that psychedelic assisted therapy, what I saw when I was clicking on the lock screen of my phone, a few times during the journey, was I saw my wife's picture, and in doing so, I felt her completely, and I saw her completely. And what's really interesting about that is that in order to get there, I was working on my own infidelity. So I had been dishonest and unfaithful to her for an extended period of time. And so this was one of the great things I wanted to do with the psychedelic assisted therapy was to really investigate that from a variety of perspectives. And so let's get back to your question now, as this is a roundabout way to getting at it. But in that exercise of putting that phone on and seeing her picture again and again and again, I felt her love. I felt her essence. I felt her joy. And I felt all of those things on such a high end of the spectrum. I felt the opposite end. So I felt her pain and I felt her suffering, a lot of it caused by me. And that was revelatory to me. It in that moment of just seeing it again and again and again, because if you've ever done psychedelic assisted therapy or any type of psychedelics, it had been about 30 years since I had last done it. What happens is you have the ability to loop, right, again and again and again. And so in seeing her again and then looping again and looping again and looping again, every time it loops, there's an opportunity to delve even deeper. And so at first I was seeing her and feeling her and feeling the love and the pain and the joy. And it became so intense that, you know, I was just a ball of tears coming out as the emotion is flowing in such a beautiful way, and seeing and understanding and feeling. It was just cathartic in every way. But what occurred to me was that finally I could see myself in her. And so the difference between the two of us and the separation that we normally think occurs in real life, it ceased to exist. And so in that moment that was infinite, over and over and over again, must have happened about 30, 40 times. I finally saw myself, and I saw the love, and I saw the joy, and I saw the hurt, and I saw the suffering, and I saw the pain, and it was equally as deep as my wife's pain. And so when we talk about that connection, energy, compassion, and wisdom, you see it reflected when you're with people. Like that's an easy way to see it reflected. But you can equally go inside and spend solitary time just seeing yourself, which a lot of people don't do. And that PAT, the PAT that I underwent, was instrumental in allowing me to see in and out. And so that beautiful outward connection existed in the same way that it was a complete mirror of the inward reflection or view of self. And so I just wanted to just, bring that up, that, we look out, and when we're looking out, we're really looking in at the same time, or we have the ability to look in at the same time, which is always interesting to me.
Aw, I call that courageous connection, because that's everything that I do is in business. We all know this. We're trying to get people to know us, like us, and trust us, but that's not actually what's happening. Yeah. Most of us are that person where I've been through a mess, and now I'm trying to share the lessons of my mess, and I've created a business and a message around that. Yeah. So what's actually happening is just what you said, is we have to courageously connect with that version of us that was in pain. Yeah. Then we have to courageously connect with who we are today because of that, and still loving that old version. That's a big journey in and of itself. Then we get to know our clients, which is just a reflection of that old version.
It's a gorgeous viewpoint.
Exactly. Yeah. Now all we're doing is we're holding space for them to get to know, like, and trust themselves. Yes. And then it naturally happens back to us. Yeah. Yeah. So I love that you highlighted that, because it does start from within. So Marcy gave us a little bit of information about Working Writers Co. So what she told us about how you two met. Okay, which is an interesting story. Go watch that interview. Can you tell us, why did you say yes? Just
at 6:15 in the morning. Most people are not making. If my life-changing decision at 6:15 in the morning is like gym, no gym. And you were like, I'm going to start a business.
Yeah. So funny, Monique and Laura. For me, it was an opportune moment. We might use the metaphor that the soil was ready for planting, right? And I had resigned my position, divested out of a company that I was an owner in, and This was just after our son had been stabbed. And I told you he just about didn't make it, but he did, and he's fine now. So my life was in a complete state of flux at that moment, and my heart had been cracked wide open as a result of my son's incident, and I began to work in that group. Marcy was part of the group, and I really appreciated and enjoyed Marcy's energy. So she had been on group calls several times. The way she had this at the time, she had a beautiful Spanish hola behind her on her backdrop. And it just spoke to me. Her lightness spoke to me as well. I really appreciated her as a human being. And as we started working together during group work, her energy was fabulous. And we worked a little bit on her book as well. And that was the impetus for her to say, yo, dude, like, you like books and I like books, and we both have literature degrees. And I see you're an aspiring entrepreneur. I had started, I know, 1 or 2 companies at that point already. I just thought, yeah, like, what's the harm? And that's kind of been my philosophy throughout life. And I'll give you a counter philosophy to that in a moment. But my philosophy has been just be open, and you don't know where it goes. It's not like, we're going to have a $500,000 enterprise and 50 clients on day one. You can gently ease into this, and you can appreciate it and see where it goes. And there's really no pressure. So for me, there was no risk. And I'm glad that I said yes, because it's been a wonderful opportunity. The other end of the spectrum that I said I was going to come back to is that once you're doing something that really moves you, like I'm doing today with Working Writers Co., then the distractions, it's necessary for you to begin to eliminate them and just say, no, not at this moment. And Marcy caught me at a time when I was open. And today I'm open to all kinds of things, but I probably wouldn't start a company from scratch at this particular time unless it just stung. And I haven't come across anything like that in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the same question then. Why writing? Why not become a dancer? Why not go into electronics? Why not, I don't know, sell rocks for a living just because they're right in front of me?
So writing came to me as opposed to me going to get it. And those are always great ways of connecting with something. I have a guitar that I love very much. And a music teacher I had 30 years ago said to me, yeah, good guitars kind of find you. And that's how that guitar came to me. That's a story for another day. But good businesses have a way of finding you as well. Good people have a way of finding you as well. I wasn't looking. And Marcy came along with her unbelievable energy and her kindness and her compassion. And this idea resonated because I've always enjoyed writing. I was in the corporate world for 19 years. And I wrote, boy, did I ever write. At first it was emails, but those emails weren't just emails, right? They were persuasive pieces of writing. They were an ability to connect to someone's soul through words because you understood them at a relationship level and you're able to really communicate. And when that happens, that's the essence of great service, right? Is that ability to be able to really touch someone. And so I kept on writing in that job. And that was natural, again, because of the English degree and the reading that I've always loved to do. And so I started writing my own speeches. I started writing speeches for other people. I started writing in magazines. I started publishing things all over the place. And so I've always been a writer. And I could equally say that I've always been a musician. And so when you say why writing, it could have been music. Had I had someone come around and said, yo, you want to start this, Alex? This you want to start a band? I probably would have said yes. Yeah, the writing was natural, and it's been a beautiful fit ever since. I just respect and admire my business partner so much, and we've grown tremendously together. It feels right. It is right. And I get to coach writing, and I get to write. I write almost every day, and I love it.
Okay, but we're going to go back to the music because you brought it up.
Okay.
So then what does music give you that writing also gives you? Because there is a connection.
Yeah, there's a total connection, right? These are expressions that come from the heart and the mind. right? They're the ultimate in creativity when you're connected and you're in the flow zone. I had my music career start so young. I was a soprano, boy soprano, singing with a music teacher, and then I went into being a choir, and then I landed a professional opera role with the Vancouver Opera Company, performing in Benjamin Britten's The Turn of the Screw. And from there, just kept on going and picked up every instrument I could: piano, saxophone, guitar, you name it. Like I just loved it. And I played for a long time. In fact, I moved to Toronto from Vancouver to be in the music scene. And we made a go of it for a little while. And we played all over the place and had some success, and put out a couple of albums. And then I got married and had kids. And I thought that the road to succeeding in a family was like, okay, you get the job, you have the kids, you buy the house, you do this. And so I went down this path for 19 years. And I'm not going to say it was the wrong path, but I'm going to say it wasn't in alignment with my heart. So music's always been a big part of me. I love it. I was listening to a French artist this morning because I just felt like it. Barbara Pravi, if you've ever heard of her, she's wonderful. Check her out. So yeah, music's just a humongous part of me. I love every part of music.
So does this mean that you can teach me how to safely sing a super high note?
Yeah, you know what? I probably
I don't mean right now.
Yeah, I probably could, Laura. We would start with your falsetto. We would go as high as we could with your full voice. Are you a soprano or a mezzo soprano? Do you know?
You think I know words? I just do. Monique and Marcy were listening earlier.
I'm amazed. I have a friend whose little sister is an opera singer.
Yeah. Okay.
And Yolanda and I are both physicians.
Yeah.
And she's like, my sister is the toughest person I know.
You
know, and I'm like, dude, we've been through med school. We've been through residency. Like, we're pretty tough people. She's like, no. In order for her to get up time and time again and put on her best, be told she's not good enough, go back again, do it again, just, and then like forge her own way. Like, you know, there's how many, you know, soprano singers in the world in general, right? Like a handful of opera singers who are actually out there working. Then you say, like, how many Black female opera singers do we have? That gets smaller, you know. And she's and I like stalk her on Instagram, and she's in Europe and she's doing it. She's like on stages, and she cut an album, and I see her as one of the bravest people I've ever seen. Because it is so much of herself. And when you talk about your love for music, I can see that it is because it is yourself. You're offering you know, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful.
Monique, that's a beautiful story. And I'm so happy for you. And it's your friend's daughter. That's who it is?
No, it's my friend's youngest sister.
Your friend's youngest sister.
I've never met her. Yeah, I just stalk Rhiannon on Facebook and Instagram.
That is amazing. And you're right. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And it's funny because opera is an interesting discipline. Opera is one of the more rigid forms of music, right? So, you know, you're hitting the notes precisely. When you're singing in an opera, there is no room for movement, real movement, or improvisation of those notes. Those notes have to be hit. The way you do it, the way you carry it, is your art, and that's unique, and that's yourself. But the rigidity of opera kind of got to me after a while, and I love the art form, and I still listen to opera, but I gravitated towards my rebellious side, which was the rock and roll side, the ability to sing blue notes all over the place, the ability to cough in the middle of a song or shout something out. And that really appealed to me. But my gosh, yes, your friend's little sister is doing something that requires tremendous discipline and tremendous, like, it takes a lot to get to that highest echelon of opera singing. I was coached by a fellow from the academy somewhere in Russia, and he was strict as can be. And I just loved his coaching. I loved him. I loved his heart as a human being, but he spared nothing with me. It was like, this is the way it is, dude. And we had a great relationship for many years. And I probably could have gone on and done it professionally. I had the talent, that's for sure. But I had a different calling, and it was more towards, my own creation. And it took me a while to get here to where I am today. But I got here. I got here, and I'm creating. Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is that you lean more toward the methods for full-on, bold self-expression, instead of somebody else telling you this is how you can express yourself within these boundaries. You're like, but I want to play. It's like when we're only supposed to talk within the box with our hands, and I'm like, no, I'm everywhere.
Laura, we have to look at that for a second, because it is another fascinating one. So you're saying that I gravitated towards these extreme forms of expression.
Not quite.
Okay, get me right then. Get me right. Get me on the right track.
It's not necessarily extreme, but because you have gone to extreme structure in expression, you couldn't find the alignment with you, like the authentic version of you. And so it's like a boldly leaving the structure to be like, I love this, and that's not me. Because how many people do you know who will still stick in that, even though it's not them? Because they think, but I'm skilled here. I have connections here. I make money here. I have a living here. Whatever the story is.
Yeah.
They won't leave. They don't have that boldness, that choice, that courage to leave and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. How interesting. How interesting. And I'll share something else that's interesting, just based on my own experience. In those arts, in those disciplines, particularly the opera discipline, what I found interesting about my own love of opera was that I could sing it, and I could sing it in a forum that was meant for opera, but I had a really hard time practicing it even at home when my parents were home. That was a challenging thing to do, was to let them hear me sing full voice. And interestingly enough, when I moved over to rock and roll, it was the same story. In the right forum, at rehearsal or on stage at a gig, I had no problem just owning it and doing it to the end of the spectrum, as the full, complete, heart open, this is me, this is it. But anything off of those stages, I had a really hard time singing full voice. And I certainly did at home for a long time. I didn't share my full voice with my family forever. Like I pick up a guitar and only sing half voice and not giver. And I find that interesting. Academically, I find that really interesting. To me, it points out a fear of judgment, even amongst your family members, which is really interesting. And that's something that I'm working on today. I'm more apt to sing full voice today, but that wasn't always the case. And it's interesting. You can be great on stage and not be able to do it elsewhere. And that was an interesting phenomenon for me to discover.
Do you ever find that in your writers, that they can write and write and write and write, but they can't share it with those closest to them? But
writing in full voice.
Yeah, maybe sharing it with you, who they don't know particularly well yet. Like this is a professional relationship, like that comes differently, and a little bit more easily.
The answer is yes, Monique. In two ways. In one way, we often have authors who tell us, I haven't even shown this to my husband yet, or I haven't even shown this to my wife yet. So yes, I think that there's a degree of fear in terms of wanting to show it to those closest to them. That's one way that it shows up. And the other way is through imposter syndrome, something that I think that so many of us have gone through or go through at periods of our lives. And that normally manifests as someone saying at some point in the process, is this good enough? Is it good enough to put out there? And so they're questioning whether or not that work of art can go out there, can leave themselves. So yes, in two very distinct ways, I see that playing out, Monique, that that fear of letting their own work be seen, right?
Yeah. As a writer, I'm the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, me too, Monique. I'm a professional writer, and I just wrote something on Thursday, and I had my wife check it first, and then my daughter's in from Montreal. She's also an English major, and so I had her vet it as well. And yeah, like before I put it out, I want to put it by people I trust, and the next person is going to be Marcy. So that's kind of my core three people that I'm going to trust to vet my work at first, and then I'll put it out there. But yeah, you're looking for feedback. You want to understand how it hits, how it lands. Am I offensive in any way? Did something rub you the wrong way? Is it confusing because I get it through my own perception? It's so logical to me, but is it logical to you? So yeah, there are a variety of reasons why we check our work with other people, and embarrassment can be one of them, but so can, like, let's proof this. Let's understand if it's digestible by more than just myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you compared it to artwork, because that's how I like to remind myself about imposter thoughts.
Yeah.
So that I can think of any time that I write, or any time that I'm doing an interview, or whatever it happens to be, that it is, or even a business. Okay. It's a piece of art that I'm sharing. And when we think of art as an expression, a piece of our expression. So if I can think of my business as an expression of who I am instead of a part of me, then when somebody rejects the business, it's not a rejection of me. When somebody rejects the book, it's a rejection of the book, that expression, not a rejection of me. And so now I can feel better putting those pieces of expression out there, like the book, like the music, like whatever it is, and not have to feel so bad.
That is an awesome point of view, Laura. It's really helpful. And to your point, I see art pretty much everywhere. It was a beautiful day in Toronto yesterday, 30 degrees Celsius, where I live. And so I cut my lawn. That's what you do when you have a lawn that grows in such nice weather. And even my lawn is an expression of my creativity, right? It's my art. So the way I cut it and the way I edge it, and if I choose to rake or I choose to put mulch here, that's art. And, you can look at your hair the same way. You can look at the clothes you put on the same way. You can look at your business the same way. You can look at almost everything in life as a form of expression. And it's a gorgeous way to look at things, especially if you are conscientious about your art and you're intentionally creating it. It's pretty wonderful. So yeah, what a cool insight, Laura.
So Alex, I want to know a little bit more about future Alex. So if you could do a really cool project, whatever it happens to be, you're going to snap your fingers and everything is lining up for you. Okay. What kind of cool project would you love to work on in the next, let's say, year?
Well, I think it's going to be writing. I think that I will probably be more visible with my writing. I publish here, there. But I don't know what that means yet, Laura. And when I did that psilocybin-assisted therapy, one of the things that was obvious to me during the session was that I'm in the right place at the right time. And I've always been really ambitious. I've seen everything. I've expected everything. And that's come with a bit of a cost. And that cost is the stress of hanging on so tightly to that vision. And you can get there. I've got to a lot of really great places in my life, but it came with a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And so I'm more apt now to let that go, and I have been letting that go. So I see writing as something that will be expressed and probably to a greater degree in the coming year. And I also see speaking. The other thing that's come out of that psilocybin-assisted therapy is that I've always enjoyed speaking, but where I particularly enjoy it is the spontaneous nature of speaking. So, we've got all these Blue Talk things coming up, and a talk that I'm doing at the University of Toronto coming up.
Oh, nice.
And it occurred to me the other day that I really appreciate this type of forum, the spontaneous, no thought to what you're going to create. It just comes out. And I was toying with the concept of doing a hybrid presentation at the University of Toronto where I pick a topic, but I actually don't write the speech. Because most people who are doing TED Talks, they know it word for word, and they almost know exactly where they're going to stand on stage and what their arm movements are going to be. And so, So you asked about the form of expression. I see writing and I see speaking as being the two over the next year that'll probably take center stage. And I will allow space for anything else to happen. I love music. And so if music comes out, then it will. And if any other form of expression comes out, then it will also. But the two that are most likely to come out, in my opinion, will be those two.
So we have joked / talked about potentially Blue Talks having like there's so many musical people in our community that I'm like
concert series.
Maybe
that'd be cool.
I was like, I wonder if we could write something together or like have a Blue Talks channel where it's just like music that we've all had. Something needs to be involved, because at this point, I think a third of us have some sort of background in music and want to still share it. Like it's still a part of us.
Yeah.
So maybe, Alex.
Let me know if that ends up flowing. And I would love to be a part of that for sure.
Crazy idea at the moment. But I do want to take this time to ask you, where do we find you? And what is your favorite way to communicate?
Probably through email. And my email address is alex@workingwritersco.com. That's probably the best way. I'm on LinkedIn as well, and that's a platform I use. As a company, we're on Instagram and Facebook. I seldom use those to communicate, if ever. So you'll have a hard time DMing me and getting a hold of me on those platforms. But that, I think the email is probably the best. I read my emails.
Yeah, I don't. That's the worst.
I thought it was so great how you explained emails as works of persuasion.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he's got a beautiful take on emails, because I'm just like, oh God, not another email. But you're right. You spend at least if I really want it to come across, I spend as much time, effort, and thought in writing an email, because it is a short amount of space that I have to persuade you to meet with me at 9:15 or something. That's great.
Yeah, whatever it is, you're truly interacting. Messages are going back and forth, and so like I'm really putting my heart into that message, and they can be persuasive. And I don't mean that from the negative point of view, like the negative perspective. Persuasive can have a connotation that's manipulative, right? And that's not the persuasiveness I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the right energy being infused in that email so that someone reads it and it resonates and they're like, whoa, like I dig that. Like I feel that. And so they want to write back, right? And so, and I know you meant that as well. So yeah, thanks, Monique. That's cool.
Yeah, part of me feels bad where I'm like, here are the Blue Talks emails. I'm trying to keep it short, sweet, to the point. And I'm like, there's only so many few.
I get efficiency as well, Laura. Sometimes those are the best emails. Yo, dude, this is it. Okay, no fluff, perfect. Like I'm in, I'm out, right? Like that's a good respect of my time, right? So I get you. But there's a time and a space, right, where we want to infuse our own heart for the messaging, right?
So we have about a minute left, and I love to hold space at the end of an interview, just in case there's something on your mind or in your heart that you would love to share. So what would you love to leave people with?
I just think that probably I'm going to leave people with my impression of you, Laura. I don't know you so well yet, Monique, and you've been a delight to speak with, but I want to spend just 45 seconds here speaking about you, Laura. I've had the pleasure of meeting you at least 3 times now on the Blue Talks network. And every time I've met you, you are gentle and kind and thoughtful, and you seem to always operate from your heart. And the questions flow naturally. The answers in your space flow as well. The degree to which you put people together and allow them to be themselves, the space you create is really quite magical. And you're a wonderful human being, and it's delightful to be in your presence and in your space. And I thank you for that. That's really probably the best thing I could possibly say, is that I'm grateful. and keep doing what you're doing. The world needs a lot more of what you're providing, Laura.
Thank you. I'm practicing receiving. Okay. And I didn't bring any tissues. Okay. I will call this the official close to the main portion of the interview.
Awesome.
And I think you saw a little bit of this backstage with Marcy. I like to take the last few minutes to do a little bit of a recap, because this is really fun for social media. So Alex, I'm going to start with you this time. What is something that stood out to you during our conversation today?
Well, you asked me for 3 words that someone would use to describe me. I came up with those off the cuff, and they really formulated I think the energy around today's call. And those words were energy, compassion, and wisdom, or a derivative thereof. And I appreciate the way that the conversation had a structure to it, even though it didn't, and we were able to do whatever we wanted within that structure. So that's what resonates the most. And I'll probably leave this conversation and feel more compassionate. I'll probably leave this conversation and feel more wise for having been in this conversation with you, Monique, and you, Laura. And certainly I will get in touch with my energy, and I am in touch with my energy throughout the rest of the day. So yeah, I think that's what stands out the greatest for me at this particular moment.
What about you, Monique?
Everything seemed really connected in our conversation. And starting from your 3 words, know, and when I heard you explain it, I was like, wow, like she really does have something here that he's stringing together, and how, your music, your writing, all of this was a way for you to be a different version of yourself out of corporate work, and also everything that allowed you to examine your relationships with your family and yourself in those relationships. And you are just such a naturally connected person. Like, I see you like water. Like your emotions and your thoughts to me in this conversation have just flown into each other over and over and over. And I've enjoyed having that conversation with you. So thank you for sharing yourself with me like that.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Monique. Thank you for those comments.
Aw. I'm going to reflect back at you, Alex, something. The first time that I met you and Marcy both, because you both came at the same time and you own the same business together. I'm like, wow, who are these two and where did they come from? I need more of you. And then you showed up to networking again. And then you showed up to networking again. And I was like, this is so much fun. So, and just because you came in, and usually what happens is we get the shy people who are new and they just kind of watch because they don't know what's going on. Oh no, both of you were like, I'm engaged right from the very beginning. Which means so much to me, because I know what people would have said before is I'm a lot. What people say now is she's very self-aware and very deep. And I bring that into every networking and every interview. Because I know if I can figure out who the deeper version of Alex is, okay, I lie. I already see it. If I can get other people to see what I already see, then I don't feel so alone.
Beautiful.
And so I love these deep connections, because it means that I feel like everybody is more real. And that's what you hit on every single time, was how can I be more real? How can I help my writers to come across in a more real way? How can we use the many different ways that we can express ourselves to showcase that realness?
Yeah, so true. And thank you for those beautiful comments. I really appreciate your space, and it's an honor to play in your space.
Thanks. I do want to highlight a couple things that I wrote down. I want to make sure I have the name correct. You said Barbara Pravi?
Yeah, Pravi. Yeah.
Oh, I did write it right. Okay, good. Yeah. And then I wrote this quote. You said to sing in full voice. And since you're a writer, you're teaching people to write in full voice. So I just want to reflect that back at you.
Thank you. I will take that. That's lovely. Sing in full voice. I'll take those words today and mull them over. Awesome.
Sing in full voice, write in full voice.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds so fun.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you to both of you. Have an awesome rest of the day.
You
Alex,
too.
this was a
Much
pleasure.
less.
It was great meeting you.
Likewise. Thank you both. All right.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
So usually when our next guest is not behind the scenes, it means that they probably sent me an email. So let me just
Can I take
check.
a water break while you?
Of course.
Okay.
That's fine. Usually what I do, you can leave. That's fine. I'll tell everybody here. Usually what I do is I'm going to remove Monique just for a moment. Is when we have this space, I do a little bit of a recap. Now, the first two guests that we have or had, it's over. No, it's over. We're business partners. So we had Marcy and then we had Alex, and they are in business together with writing business, helping people to write their books. What I noticed is that they are both very heart-centered, very connected people who have their own backgrounds and then chose to use their natural skill of writing to put their stories and their insights and their ideas into books and start sharing and then share with other people. So I do see our next guest behind the scenes. Hi, Donny. Just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to join us. Hi, our co-host just took a break for a moment. She'll be back.
All good. Hi, Laura.
Hi. This means that you and I get to hang out, just us for a minute.
Love it. Love it.
So how I usually start interviews is I like to shake things up because I don't want your elevator pitch.
Okay.
I want to get to know you as a human being. So I have this beginning question that is a little deep, but it's also a research question. So I'll do a talk or a book or something on it later. But here's the question. If you could have other people describe you in 3 words, what would you love those 3 words to be?
I got 3 words, right?
Yep.
So happy.
Okay.
Impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say integrity.
Ooh, okay. And the only other question that I have prepped is how do those 3 words, happy, impactful, and integrity, how do they play a key role in the core message that you have for people?
This is a wonderful topic. Okay, totally unprepared for this, right?
I know, that's the point.
Amazing. So the way I feel just about this position in general and how I run into people and things like that.
Yeah.
A personal goal of mine, every time I cross paths with someone, a friend, colleague, I want them to feel better after having that little meetup. I want them to feel better about everything. I want them to have a better optimism. I want to feel better about the future, better about life, better about the day, better about mood, just in that moment. And I think that comes from, one is just giving off happy, knowing that, I am a man of my word. I believe highly in honesty and in trust. And so I'm approachable, and then I'm also making you feel better. So to me, they're kind of all related. It's all like a vibe that you're putting off. Yeah. That is my honest vibe. That's who I am. And that's what I want. That's what I think people would say about me if you surveyed them. Like every time I see him, I'm glad I ran into him.
Okay, close. Is that what you would love people to say about you, or is that what people would say about you?
I think people would say that about me.
Oh.
But I've been deliberate in, like, I actually don't believe in pretending. And I think it'll come across in this. So long ago in my career, when I was before what I am, and I struggled with Mondays, Sunday night, you're like, oh God, tomorrow's Monday. Okay, so I lived there. And it was because I realized it's because I'm going against the grain. I have to almost perform, and that's not who I am. I don't like to do that. It's so much easier to be yourself. And if you can remove that requirement to perform, well, then life's a lot easier. And so I decided to be who I am and not have to apologize for it or make up for it. And that Donny is perfect. That Donny's good enough. And so I give myself permission to be myself. And so that who I think people see me as is who I believe I put out there as well. So there is harmony, there's symmetry in both sending and receiving.
Good. Okay, so just to recap for you, Monique, he said happy, impactful, and integrity.
I love it.
Yeah. So now we're going to dive a little deeper. Like you said your message is to feel better about everything after having a moment with you or working with you or just being around you. Why that message? Why do you want people to feel better? There's got to be a story behind that. Basically, I want the story. Give me the juicy story.
I don't know. That's a good point. Why do I care? Why do I care about that?
But that's also like a lot. That's a lot to take on, to be like, I want that. Like,
He's ambitious.
I'm not solving all the problems, that's for sure. Like, I'd love to.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic, and I'm not, and I'm okay with that. I just, for that brief second, I just want them to feel good, like just get rid of whatever else and just feel good for that brief moment. So that's why I do a lot of small talk. Yes, I do walk by people with my dog on the street. Someone's there. I always hear my name, Donny, hi, and that is happening. I walk my kids to school back when I did walk my kids to school. Things like that. It makes me feel good to put good out there. And I don't do it with the intention of it's going to come back to me, but I will tell you it comes back to me.
I believe you. Our last guest spoke about energy, right?
Yep.
And energy, like if you think about physics, it's not created or destroyed, it's just transferred, right? Yep. And if you put out good comes back.
There we go. See?
Yeah.
I think we're aligned. Yeah. So I guess, look, we don't know each other terribly well. Laura a little more than Monique, but I would say you've had a few moments with me hanging out with you guys for a couple seconds. I hope that you feel that energy. I hope that you feel that as well through the camera and through the internet. And if it worked, that's what I'm trying to do. That's it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, like, do you have a business around this? Are you writing books around this? Like,
yeah. So, my business is not on energy like that, like not like personal energy and things like that. It's more, call it financial energy. I'm big on.
Oh, okay.
I'm big on just taking care of yourself, personal wealth. So there's two topics that I believe. I don't care what interest everyone's got. You might be interested in fashion. I may be interested in cars. I'm not. But we can't avoid health and wealth. We don't have to be interested, but you can't avoid them. They play a vital role in life. There was my dog. Health and wealth. And I don't know. I just, after my nerd days, because I was a nerd. After that,
nothing wrong with being a nerd.
I turned into like someone who just was fascinated by math, by the markets, by just control, like financial freedom, financial control, all that kind of stuff. And it just led me down this path and into, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to solve my own financial problems in the future for myself, for my family. And then I'm going to help others do the same thing. So it's so hard to describe what I do. I'm not a financial planner. Financial planners fit into a category. I don't fit into a category. What I do is I help people. What my thing is, get wealthed up. So I help you figure out how to simplify your life and get you in a position where you're wealthed up. You don't have to worry about money into your future.
You know, Donny, you and I are in the same field. So I'm a physician.
Okay.
And I have learned, and I preach that people will say like, oh, it's so hard to go to the gym. It's so hard to eat healthy. It's so hard to do. And I'm like, yeah, taking care of yourself is hard, but being sick is harder.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Being sick requires so much more energy.
Yep.
And I know for myself, being a broke med student, and then, you go through residency, you're paying student loans back, whatever, like money is stressful. Having no money is so much more stressful.
Right.
And like having the discipline to care for yourself financially and to care for yourself physically pays off dividends. It makes your world easier, makes you happier down the road on an everyday basis in a way that like people don't sometimes appreciate until they don't have that.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Like, I'm not saying money makes me happy, but not having money means that I can't do things that are going to make me happy. It's just the way of the world. And I'm sorry. I wish it was different. It's not.
No, but it is though. And unfortunately, not having enough money can make you sick too.
And
people who have a lot of financial worries don't sleep well, have a lot of stressors, and it's not easy. Like getting money is not easy. I am not rich. I'm putting it out there to all of our listeners. I have not figured out
Monique.
a lot of the dummy stuff. But what I'm saying is like I see where your message is. That if this is one less thing on your plate, but it's also another way to care for yourself, right? Discipline is a way of caring for yourself, and taking the discipline to learn about finances is a way of caring for yourself and your family down the road.
I like the way that you phrased it though, because your first quote was feel better about everything. So if you were like, let's take that scenario. You've got all the massive debt of med school or whatever your debt is. You've got no money or not enough money coming in to cover all your stuff. You feel like you're in this pit. Better could just be here. It doesn't have to be up here. Mm-hmm. So you're stepping up or get wealthed up by feeling better and feeling better and feeling better. And eventually you go from down here to up here. If your only goal is to feel better. So if you can have 100 moments of feeling better versus one moment of feeling good, I'd rather the 100 moments of just feeling better.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do also like that you said you like to offer people a moment of peace. Like, because you never know. I'm sure we've all seen those like posters of you never know how you make a moment in somebody's day, like the difference that you make. And like you stopping with your dog, chatting with somebody, you give them like a break of peace in their day. You really never know the effect that has on somebody. And it could just be the little like oomph in their battery to keep going for the day.
It's the truth. It's these small, it's like sliding doors. It just that one little shift could have ripples, like dramatic ripples. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that. And I want to not just participate in that world. I want to be an instigator. I want to create that ripple. And I do find that even those small things, and I encourage my kids to do the same thing. Just be kind to somebody, just because you can. Yeah. You don't have to, but you could, and you'll find that maybe you should because that you have the opportunity to do that. So
sometimes I use those moments to make myself feel powerful because I know half the time I feel the complete opposite. I'm like, who am I I'm an imposter with this, fill in the blanks of all those stories. But then I can go up to a complete stranger and I go, oh my God, Donny, I love that you have a microphone and we can actually hear you so clearly. Like it just adds so much to this conversation. Thank you so much. And all of a sudden you feel good. And then I go over to Monique and I go, oh my God, I love your microphone too. I've been looking for a microphone like that. And I didn't even know that they came from Overtop. Like, that's so cool. You inspired me. And now you feel good.
Yeah.
Small little moment. Usually I go, I love your earrings. Like I'll find something genuine and I'll compliment it. And I do. I like that you have microphones because I'm looking for a microphone. So when the genuineness is there, those small moments, I know that they affect somebody drastically. And I'm like, I did that. I did that.
Yeah.
I can't be a nobody if I just did that. I can't be worthless if I just did that. I can't be powerless if I just did that. I can affect change. What else can I do? And now I have that curiosity and I can do bigger moments and bigger moments. And that's, in my eyes, you tell me otherwise, that seems to be what you're getting at with the get wealthed up. It's like just
so overall, yeah. And you saw me pitch Laura the other day. So what I speak about, it's less emotional. It's more practical, I would say, is what I kind of talk about. But ultimately, underlying, what you're saying is bang on. It's the way you feel. It's the way it's peace. It really is. And what I talk about and what I write about is a little bit more practical, just because they're almost manuals. What I'm saying, what I'm describing are almost manuals. Here's how to. I do tend to talk about why, and we're getting at the why right now.
Yeah.
But as somebody, again, the nerd in me, I have to know, okay, but how? And so that's what I talk about. This is an actual how. Like this isn't a how. It's a very specific strategy, very specific way of doing it. It's got nothing to do with what any of one is really talking about, but should be. Yeah, but it ultimately comes down to just that. It's peace. I know that if money problems, when they're solved, I don't have fights. Like a lot of marriages have.
I was about to say, isn't that like the most common reason for
Yeah.
people to have marital discord?
Even more than
finances.
even more than cheating on your spouse, like money, right?
No, it's stressful.
Yes,
stressful.
entirely.
And I love that it's a guide. I also wrote like a practical guide, right? So my book is Prescription for Admission. This is it's a guide. My aunt one time was like, "Did you read it?" She's like, "It's more like a manual. It's not like a page turner." I was like, "Wow, thanks for the support."
Honesty.
but I sat down and thought about it, and it is because I think that giving people practical tools, right? Like, why do we all love Betty Crocker cake boxes? Because it's a practical way to get a good result. It doesn't matter, right? She tells you egg, oil, water, mix it with this thing, and you do this and you will get this cake, right? And I think when people are left out in the wind and they're told things like, you should save money. Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. Pay your bills. Those are just general, like, but like if you're giving people like tools, people are hungry for that, right? People are hungry for, how do I do this thing?
Yeah,
I love it.
They are. I hope so. And I, I just feel so, this is not a sales conversation at all, just so you understand, but I feel so good about what I've been able to document and transcribe and put out there into the world. And I know that everyone that picks up this, call it a manual, Monique, everyone that picks up this manual, what if you actually read this, you're like, damn, like I should have, no one's ever told me this. I should have known about this. And this is pretty creative and pretty simple.
But do you find, Donny, that people don't talk about money because it's icky,
it's taboo.
It's taboo.
You know what? It's almost like peacocking. Like someone who's got it, if you know that you're walking in the conversation and you have less than, well, you feel less than, and then you're silent about it. And so there are certain chats that you can't have in society. Like there are certain faux pas. Like you really shouldn't bring up this. You shouldn't bring up this. Shouldn't bring up this. Politics is a good point when you're having, when you're in a group setting as well. But money, you never want to take. You don't want to come across as the person who's got more or the person that's got less. So you shut up about it. No one says anything about it, and no one ever learns from each other because there are no lessons to teach. And that's a problem. Like, but what about you want to talk about working out? Like, I know I look like I'm an Adonis here, being a Greek god. I'm not, just so you know. I don't work out. But I know that if I wanted to, there's data everywhere. There's info. I can ask anybody. Ask a runner how to run. They're happy to share information about best practices, what kind of shoes to wear, how far you should go, all this kind of stuff. But money, no, we don't do that. We don't talk about it.
So I like, Donny, I'm gonna just keep picking at you because I feel like we're living on different sides of the same conversation, because it's the same thing with health and health habits. Like people who are like fit and healthy and are Instagram, they want to sell you magnesium and stuff like that. We'll put them in the other like corner, right? But like nobody like walks around and is like, my rheumatoid arthritis. Like people, it's just not something that people really want to talk about. If you're not feeling well, if you're going through something health wise, and so navigating healthcare, navigating that space, taking care of yourself it's not. You think there's information out there, but it's not. There's not like useful information out there. There's all this like theoretical, eat more vegetables. Like how much is more? Like if I ate 2, is 18 too many, or is 5 not enough? I don't know how much is more. But we also pass down health habits to our kids, and we've passed down wealth habits to our kids. And parents may or may not talk about their health. Parents may or may not talk about how they manage money to kids. And that's something that I've learned as well. That like people don't talk to my parents spoke to us about money. People don't talk to their kids about money.
Monique, financial literacy in general, it's abysmal. Like it's awful what people think they know about it, and they don't. Like, they just, it's a rudimentary knowledge of how money works, how the system works, how credit works, how inflation works. Nobody really gets it. Because it's not interesting. It isn't like, if I only have this many minutes per day, I'm gonna go to TikTok and watch stupid memes about stupid stuff rather than sit there and learn about why do I feel so powerless all of a sudden? Like, why I got to spend more today than I did yesterday for that same thing? How does that work? Yeah, it's on us as parents. It's on us to pass on to the kids, so that, because I don't believe anyone else is looking out for these kids. I wish that wasn't the case. I've got 2 kids. I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto, and I've got 2 kids in the Toronto public school system. I would say it's shameful, the overall education, especially in financial literacy. There is no programming.
Oh no,
zero
here
curriculum.
in the States, that's like not something that's put into this curriculum at all.
Why not?
Well,
why not? Right? Like,
right. You think about it, but like, again, I'm in the States, here in Canada. The things that were useful, right? I'm going to date myself. When I went to school in the 90s, right? The things that were useful, I'm finding that they've taken out of the curriculum. And by useful, I don't mean like Pythagorean's theorem. Like, that's fine. You can get an A on a test for that. And then you can take the SAT and use it on that test. And maybe one day you'll use it. I don't know, building a house. I have no idea when you're going to use Pythagorean's theorem, right? But the things that were useful, like our health classes, like how did you take care of your body? Like, literally, in the 90s, we had teachers who were like, this is how you don't get the diseases. This is how you eat a vegetable.
It's practical, it's useful. Yes.
It's practical, useful. That's gone out of the system.
No, yeah.
We didn't have financial literacy classes, but we had something called home economics in 8th grade, and it was just like,
Same.
how do you take care of your house? Like, how do you make an English muffin pizza?
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And like, those things, I don't know, those things are, God, my kids are really little, so they're not even old enough to like learn a lot of those things yet in the school system. But I work. That's a different conversation, Donny. You and I will get together.
Yeah.
On that one.
No, it's the same thing on my end, because everything I do is mental health. So, and finances is way up there on the reasons why people have mental health.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your physical health impacts your mental health all at the same time. But a couple things I wanted to reflect back at both of you, just to kind of round out the conversation. My daughter would ask about finances because she knew, and she picked up on the fact that mom had one belief system about finances and dad had another.
Okay.
And she was like, why don't you guys think the same? I was like, oh, okay. Here's what dad thinks. Here's dad's background. Here's why he thinks that way from my understanding. And here's my belief system. Here's what I've learned since then. And here's reason why I've changed from where dad was to where I am now. I'm like, but neither one is wrong. Okay. I want you to look into why dad thinks the way that he thinks and why mom thinks the way that she thinks, and come to your own conclusions and learn. And she was like, oh, and she felt really safe that way. Just this past year, I think it was her math teacher or maybe the end of last year, that took it upon themselves to be like, I need to educate these students about something financial. So they had like 4 pages, so 2 front and back, where they had to look up, what is the mortgage rate? What is minimum wage? How many hours a week do people typically get paid? Awesome. If so, what is your weekly wage? And how much does the government take from you? How much is typical rent where you live? How about the city? And so they had to go through and research for themselves all these questions. They didn't learn it from the book. They had to go look it up so that they knew where to find these things. And I was like, oh my God, why doesn't every school have this?
Totally.
That's amazing. Yeah. That we had, I remember we had, this was, again, dating myself, a teacher, math teacher, who said, you have $100,000. You were supposed to spend in your paper $100,000. And it was like, you would pay mortgage, like he wanted you to say, how are you going to spend this $100,000? And when I think back about that, I also really think about the community leaned into that lesson with me, because my dad took me to a car dealership. I was in the 6th grade. I was convinced. I was like, I'm gonna buy like 3 cars and we'll be done. Because I didn't know what things cost. Right. And this car dealer, he walked around with me and was like, which car do you want to buy? I was like, well, I got $100,000. All of them. But they taught me these financial lessons of like, what do things actually cost? And like, how are you going to spend this money that you have, this limited budget, because you have needs, you have wants, you have, bills, all of these things. It was a great lesson.
And the one number is limited. The one that's coming in is always limited. It's always
limited.
Yeah.
Feedback, Donny. We just gave you a lot of stories.
You did, yeah. So I'm gonna just steal a lot of this content off of this and just
that's where to
I'll
go.
recycle it.
That's the internet, man.
Well, yeah. So my kids, Monique, I dare to say I'm a little older than you are as well, just so you know. And I graduated high school in the mid-90s, and I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. So my one daughter's in high school and one daughter's in middle school right now. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for dad teaching them about stuff, money, life, I'm telling you, there's zero chance that they picked up on that kind of stuff. I'm glad we had that experience somehow, some way, in some respect. And you remember something that was pretty significant to you from like decades ago. Mm-hmm. We have to like implant those on our children. Otherwise they don't have these stories. There's no way that they can.
Do you find that parents are not teaching their kids because parents don't know that they should be teaching their kids, or B, they don't know themselves, so they don't feel confident to teach their kids how to think about money and handle finances?
Certainly both. It's certainly both. I don't want, like, I read a lot of news, probably to my own detriment. Like, stay off. Everyone on the internet, stay off Twitter, please. It's a dangerous, ugly, gross place. Don't do it. But
I tweeted one time. It did not go well.
It's dangerous, right?
That's another story, Lauren.
No good comes out of there. But I would say, like, it's important to understand what's happening out there. It's important to know what rules are changing on us, like how things are progressing, just so we can try and pivot. But ultimately, we got to take care of ourselves. No, there is no Superman with a cape coming over there and helping us figure out how to deal with paying for the rest of your life. Affordability is terrible right now. It can't get better. I can't see it getting better. Somehow we've been accustomed to this kind of stuff, and now we're stuck in this. So you just got to understand what arena you're operating in. I was watching the Gladiator last night. So what arena, what coliseum you're in right now, and understanding what can you use in light of all of this. How do you come out ahead? And just know that there are ways. A lot of that has to be, you got to be creative, you got to be considerate, and you have to be curious. If you just sit there by default and do what everyone else is doing, I'll tell you right now, you're going to end up like everybody else. And I don't think that's a good thing. Donny,
I'm excited but you got to send me a copy. I'll send you a copy. You send me.
Yeah, you got it. You got it for sure.
I'm excited, man. Because like, I feel such connection, because I do think that what we're talking about is caring for yourself.
Yeah.
And people don't see it like that. Right. And like, you probably get people the way I get people. I get people in crisis. Right. And like by default, that's what I work in a hospital. Right. So like people show up having fallen down and broken a hip, having had a heart attack, having ignored a thing that was going on too long. And now we have to circle the wagons. And people probably come to you, Donny, in the same thing, like in crisis. We're in this financial crisis position. And like both of them are ways to destroy your relationship, yourself, your mental health. As if you're not caring for your health or you're not caring for your finances. So I feel very connected to that. We're gonna write it. We're gonna write a joint book, Donny.
Certainly, I love it.
Prescription for Wealth. And
there we go. See, this is the birthing of an idea here. This is wonderful.
I love it.
Well, I try. So what I do ultimately, what the solutions that I create, I'll say the solutions that this talks about that I create for people. It's preventative. The person that needs it the most, or people like my demographic or older, we need it the most, but we're getting close to the point where you're too late to be able to do it, to make this happen. Like, all my strategies, and you need time. The person that needs it the most is a 20-year-old just starting their career. They could benefit the most. They could absolutely crush it with zero effort, have a complete future laid out for them, and they're good to go. But they're not interested in this because they don't feel the pain yet. Monique, they don't feel that the elbow is starting to hurt them a little bit. They're still throwing, not realizing that the more I do this, the more it's going to hurt, until it's too painful where I can't throw anymore. And then, but I can't help you now. Like, I'd love to. And I tried to reach out to you while you're having these elbow pain, but now you can't move your arm. I can't help you right now. So it's really difficult. It's hard for me when I'm in that room with somebody or on a Zoom with somebody, and like, my heart goes out to them because, you're mid-60s and now you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay for the rest of your life when your career is pretty much, winding down. AI is speeding it up for a lot of people. A lot of us are being pushed out of our careers sooner because there are alternatives now. And that is not a great place to be. And it's not a great chat to have with somebody. Sort of like give them a mirror and say, I can't do it. I'd love to help you, but I can't, right? So you're helping us at the hospital, in the trauma center. Fantastic. We need you, Monique. I would love to be able to help people like that. Unfortunately, like, I'm really limited as to what I can do at that point.
Oh, so when they come that in a crisis, it might be that's like an even better message for this is like, don't ignore the pain, right?
Yeah.
Don't because it's just don't ignore the pain.
All these notes are being captured.
I would charge you, Donny, but I am AI. You do know that. No, but it's just no, I think so I'm gonna get nerdy here.
Okay.
People don't know what pain is, right? Pain is a very unique experience in your body, and it's by your nerves releasing something called substance P, right? Substance P is specifically for pain. It's for pain. And people think, I don't want pain. But pain is often a warning sign, right? So it's like, the reason that your hand hurts when you touch a hot stove isn't because you're burned. It's because you don't want to get burned more. Your body is like substance P that is necessary, because if we don't, pretty soon you'll damage those nerves and you can't even feel it anymore. Right. And we think we like ignore pain, or we try to erase pain, where pain is often, like, if it's in the right setting, a warning sign that you can do so. You can pull your hand off the stove. Right. And what Donny is saying, that if you're feeling that financial pain, maybe it is a warning sign that, like, you can circle the wagons, try something new, get some input, and make a plan. Right. I spend all day. I tell people come in all the time, like, I want a diagnosis. I want to be cured. And I say, like, outside of like pneumonia, we rarely cure things anymore. Like, I don't have a cure for you, but we can have a plan. And if you have a plan, you have confidence. Is this like the beginning of our book, Donny? Right?
Yeah. So I think we've written half of it, just so you know.
Substance B. Substance B, broke. Right? If you are feeling broke, it's a warning sign.
Honestly, that's wonderful, right? Seriously. Right? If you're feeling it, you're on the way to being it.
You're on the way to being broke.
You gotta adjust and pivot.
Yeah. Pivot. Otherwise, you'll be too broke, and you'll just like,
go too far.
It's true.
Substance B. I never knew it was called that, by the way. I obviously, pain is it's a defense mechanism, or it's a way to notify you something's wrong.
Yeah.
That's why we feel it. But I didn't know it's called substance P. Now I'm going to use it on my kids. They're going to love this one.
Yes.
I'm going to find ways to introduce it into some sort of rap or something.
Before I ask you where we find you, Donny, emotions are the same thing. They're all communication, but in a different part of our nervous system. They all have messages. It's like the emails we were talking about earlier. They're like, hey, Donny, you should probably like take action on this thing, and you're like, nah, I'm just going to suppress it. Nobody wants to listen to you. And then things happen because we didn't get the message, or we refused to listen to the message. That's all they are, is messages.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not hearing them or allowing them to speak, then we're missing all the cues and B's and P's.
Yeah. And you can't cure that. You can't cure missing the cues. Like I'd love to just, like, I try and be loud and say, guys, I want to make sure that you understand where you're headed. Because
like
you're
a
right.
Big
like there is
warning sign.
There is a warning sign. You should be seeing those flashings. Yeah.
Just one.
What are the warning signs?
Yeah.
How do you feel when your mortgage payment comes out? Like, if you're like, oh my God, or if you think, I'll never book the first class ticket, or if you think I'll never be able to stop working, or I don't want to get sick not because I want to deal with the pain, but I can't afford to get sick. Anytime you think about I can't because of a money thing, that's a warning sign. We've become accustomed to suffering, like to just dealing with it and saying, well, that's the reality of it. And I'm saying, I don't see it that way. I don't believe it that way. There are things you could have done and still could do. And you don't need to continue to follow conventional wisdom. Like, the whole thing is a machine. The whole thing is designed. There's a profit, thing involved here. And those that have control over the message are pushing it all the time, just like we see online. They continue to do that. And we keep falling in line and doing what it is that we think everyone else is doing, because we'd rather just stay in line than fall behind. But everyone's falling behind. We just haven't realized it yet. So the warning signs are, if you feel like, you can't afford, you got a great career, you should have more. I'm telling you probably could have more. You could be a lot further ahead if you just change the way you relate with money and how you see it, how you handle, like, I pay taxes. Well, in our case, in Canada, a lot of taxes. Then you pay for whatever else.
It's a lot down here. Don't listen to those Republicans.
Brutal.
But taxes.
We only save a little bit, and then we're trying to do this thing called invest with this little amount of money, and we're tasking this thing with, go make this thing really big over the years. But you're starting with this. But we've been trained to pay all those things first, and then focus on this, and then try and do something with that. But I don't think that's the way to, I'm telling you, that isn't the only way to do it. There are other ways to do it. You could start with that big number first, do something with that first, and that will help you propel forward, take care of your future. And then you can deal with the stuff you got to deal with. And then after that, and it's not a profit first thing. It's not like a pay yourself first. None of this kind of stuff. It's just changing the way that you see money in your life and how it flows in and out of your life.
So Donny, where do we find you, and what is your favorite way to communicate?
Although I am an old man, I'm still on Instagram. So Instagram, Donny Mangos, DonnyMangos, like the fruit. If you want to find me online, I'm at getwealthup.com. It's not a real, it's not grammatically correct, but get wealth, like in the past, getwealthup.com.
Nice. Okay. Ooh, okay. And I like to hold space at the end of every interview, just in case there's something on your mind or in your heart that you would like to share. So what would you love to leave people with?
You don't have to suffer. I think we do a good enough job of forcing sufferance upon ourselves, and some of our spouses help us with that too. But we don't have to do that. You could just be open-minded, be open to change, and know that it could be better if you put the effort into making it better, whatever it is. So my little spot in the world, my little niche, is in personal wealth, helping build that part of things, because that gives you the freedom to do everything that you're happy about. You want to travel, you can go travel. None of that stuff works if you don't have the money to afford all those cool things in life that you want to do.
I want to do all the cool things.
Well, we're going to talk, Laura.
And all the nerdy things.
Those are all options. Every one of those things. That's the point. When you're not worrying about I got to pay the bill at the end of the week, and you're in a bad mood the whole week because you got to pay that bill at the end of the week. If you can remove all of that crap, then you feel differently about everything. Everything's an option. Everything is exciting. You can actually have interests again, and you go and do those things.
Awesome. So Donny, I am going to call this the official close of the main portion of the interview. But this means that we get to play. This is like social media, real hint at what we just talked about kind of portion. So I'm going to start with Monique this time. What is something that stood out to you during our conversation today, Monique?
Oh, first of all, I loved this whole conversation. But I think the thing that really stood out to me, that I'm really excited to get my hands on the book, is to see what he means by change the way you think about how money flows in and out. Because you're right, we have been taught money is to pay bills. Right. And I am very much like in that thought process as well. Like, oh, I owe this person, I give this person, I don't have it anymore. Right. But maybe it's a different thought process that you have to have about money. So I'm very interested. I am very interested to read.
Okay, amazing. I'm happy because I think it's almost like the Neo red pill kind of thing. I think when you see this, you won't feel the same way about your money. You won't.
Right.
Because you'll be like, I never thought about it that way. That's what's going to happen. And then you're going to call me when you do, because you'll be like, I wanted to share that with you because I knew you were going to tell me this.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for the words. And this has been delightful. This has been delightful. Yeah.
So then, Donny, you're next anyway. What's something that stood out to you during our conversation?
You know what? There are a lot of parallels. I do talk about how wealth and health are those two things that you just simply can't, regardless of what you're interested in, you can't avoid discussing or considering or caring about those two things. And drawing the parallels in this conversation with somebody who is in the health industry, Monique, I think that was it certainly was eye-opening. I know they're equally important. I just never thought how alike they were and how they play a role in our lives and how one affects the other. I know that not having the wealth does affect you financially. I actually mentioned that in the book. It does hurt you, physically. Anxiety, which leads to other ailments, insomnia, all that stuff.
We have access to for healthcare. I got a master's in public health on this stuff, so that's where I nerded out.
They're certainly aligned. They're certainly aligned. Yeah.
I'm loving both of the nerding out, okay? Because I enjoy both sides of this. Something that stood out to me was the personal wealth and personal health. I loved that you two were like, let's just write a book together. And you were planning an outline.
Yeah.
That's so good. Prescription for Wealth, joint book with Donny and Monique.
Yeah.
So good.
I love it.
And I wanted
they are so connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick little version of my story. I was in an accident. Sorry, I was the breadwinner. I was in a bicycle accident. Eventually, I lost my job while paying all my medical bills. The insurance just covered what came out of my pocket up until that point. The court case did not cover anything else. I am still dealing with medical expenses from that for over a decade. At this point, it's been like 14 years since the accident. I still struggle with my mental health, with my physical health, with my financial health, because things are still in sway. But the difference is they're not like this anymore. They're more like this. And this feels more manageable to me. And I finally have energy to be consistent and have that discipline and look after my health, because I couldn't walk for a month last year, so that I can start to build my financial wealth, which is starting to happen finally. But you need to look at both of them at the same time. You can't just have one and then do the other. It is together at the same time. They have to be close enough to bring you up, or you're going to crash and burn. So sending love to both of you, because
thank you.
Sorry, this was a ton of fun, Donny. Thank you
very much. So, Laura, that sounds, my thoughts are with you. Like that couldn't have been a fun experience, and 14 years of living through that. I'm sorry. Like that sucks.
Yeah, but it's the lessons from it.
Yeah.
Like the idea of the accident doesn't bother me as much, but the topics of this with the finances, and the wealth, the health, just all of it. It is so intertwined. That's really what I'm trying to get at here.
I appreciate it.
You can't have one without the other.
Certainly not.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
So much love, Donny.
Thank you
so much for this conversation.
Thank you guys. It was a pleasure. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donny.
Bye.
Bye.
And our next guest is behind the scenes. And look, you get to pop up with me. We're even again.
There you go. I'm back on the water. Thanks for the...
It's all good. Let's just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to join us. Hi. Welcome. Oh, you're on mute. I brought a sign for that.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
That's a good
How are you?
Great to be here. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, a little tired. I might have to stand my desk up for the next interview. Who knows? But yeah, I think you know me enough by now to know that this isn't going to start give me your elevator pitch. Yeah. So here's my big question. If you could have other people describe you in 3 words, just 3, what would you love those 3 words to be?
That's a great question. So the 3 words I would pick would be friendly and loyal and easygoing, because apparently some people think I'm very serious all the time, which I'm not. So I would love that people see that I'm very easygoing and a chill person, because I'm mostly thinking about the things that I have to do in my day. And sometimes I look very intense, apparently. So, which is not the case at all. I'm a very easygoing person. So yeah, I think those would be the 3 words I would pick.
You're just in the zone. That's all.
Exactly. Most of the time.
Exactly. Okay. So friendly, loyal, and easygoing. My only other pre-thought of question is, how do those 3 words, friendly, loyal, and easygoing, how do they play a key role in the core message that you have for people?
So friendly, I would say, because so my business is about speaking. So when I'm doing a speech or a coaching session or anything, I don't come at it as the guru or somebody who's speaking from the stage or trying to teach something. I usually come up with a sense of a conversation, like I'm just having a conversation with somebody and, hey, here's my life experience. If you can learn something from it, great. If not, that's cool as well. So I try to build a rapport with people first before I try to tell them anything, because in my mind, I'm very logical, and my background is in computer science. So whenever somebody tells me anything, I like to see, wow, what's the basis of this? Are you coming from some points? Are you just making stuff in the air? Is it all fluff? So I like to look at facts and figures first. So basically, if somebody is talking to me, I want to look at them from what's their background and where they're coming from, basically. So when I say friendly, I just want to say that, okay, I'm not the guru of anything. Here's what I've witnessed in my life. Here's what I've experienced in my life. And that's what I'm teaching you, or that's what I'm telling you. So take it or leave it, up to you. So just like a buddy would do. And loyal is actually an interesting word. I wasn't thinking when I picked these words. Loyal, I wanted to basically say that if I say something, I'll do it. But the only caveat is I don't say stuff so easily, because I start planning everything in my head. Even Laura, for you, I was asking, how do I plan for this? Because I know if I say yes to anything, I'm going to give my 110% to it. So that's why I don't say yes easily. I'm like, okay, I don't want to say yes to everything, because I don't want to not show up as my full self and do a perfect job, or at least a perfect job, whatever.
That.
Good enough job, I guess.
Yeah. But I appreciate you saying yes. And I appreciate the fact that you're like, there's no structure. Yeah. But I think you've been in rooms with me enough to know that I want to have fun. I want to play. I want to go to the deep conversations, because to me, that's where all the sweet stuff is. So that's why when we start off, I don't want your elevator pitches. I want to get to know Wetzel. I want to get to know you as a human being, and not the business, not the identity, the brand, all of that, because you're a human being first, helping other human beings. So that's why I want to just mix it up a little. So you said that you help people with speaking and that you have a background in computer science.
Yes.
I love when I hear about people's backgrounds. Why did you get into speaking? Because stereotypically, and we're going to go stereotypically here, when I think computer science, I am not thinking extrovert. I am not thinking somebody who wants to speak and be on a stage. How do those line up for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I get that a lot actually, because as you said, stereotypically, nobody that I know in the computer science world, they like to talk. They rather sit behind a computer screen and just code. Yep. But throughout my career as a software developer, I didn't do that. I usually just used to sit behind a computer screen for 1 hour, get everything done, and then just hop around the office and chat with everybody in the office, try to build relationships. Hey, how's your day going? What's new in your life? And some people would just hide when they would look at me because they were engineers and computer science people. But that doesn't deter me. I'm still going to go and talk to everyone. So I was literally building relationships with everybody in every corporate company I worked at. And I like to question stuff as well. So if I had noticed a bottleneck in the whole flow of things in corporate, I would speak up to the managers, or I didn't care what their titles were. I'm like, it's just a title. You could get anywhere with time, really. So I was speaking up anyways, but I didn't realize that I should be doing public speaking. So when I was in the career, I just started doing Toastmasters, and I was like, I'll just go and practice speaking. I did that for a long time, and then an aspect of Toastmasters is giving feedback and evaluating others. From my computer science background, I don't really care about the norms and what's right, what's polite or what's not polite. So I would just say what was on my mind, and people liked it. They were like, yeah, nobody gave us that feedback before. I'm like, okay, that's the first thing I noticed in your speech. And people were starting to appreciate it. So that's how I got into speaking and coaching, because I was already speaking, and then I decided to just run my mouth basically, and people like me for it.
I like that you described it that way.
Yeah.
So then, just to learn a bit more about you and the reasons why you do things, why computer science? Why not, I don't know, become a jock or metalwork or something else? Just because they're in front of me, that's all.
No, that's fair. So in my culture, my parents, we just had two options for me. They were like, you can be a doctor or
engineer,
a techie person. So it's like my parents told me what to do. I was like, yeah, all right. I guess as a teenager, I didn't have much direction in my life. I was like, okay, whatever you tell me, I'll do. And that's how I got into it. And I believe that if I put enough energy and my brain to something, I can figure stuff out. And after a decade of computer science, I figured it out. So I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's good. And I kept on going and going. And so that's how I got into the industry.
Nice. And I know that you and I met because of a speaking engagement. And then you were one of the brave people. Okay, just to frame this for everybody else. We were at an event that was called Story Slam. And if it's based off of the Moth Diaries.
Oh, the Moth. Yeah,
Moth, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that part. So if you know what it is.
I'm going to think on it, but
yeah, whatever that is, the Moth.
I think the Moth Diaries is a movie, actually, but yes.
Oh, yes.
The Moth. I think it's just called The Moth, but anyway, continue.
Sure. The idea here is we have speakers that are telling their stories, and the theme for this particular one was fear. And then at the beginning, they were working with the audience, and they were like, hey, here's this short little story. Does somebody in the audience want to come up and share their story for 5 minutes? And here's this guy who's like, I'll do it. And he goes right to the front and he tells a story. And I'm looking at the rest of the room, and I think maybe one other hand was up at the same time as you. So there's like a room of about 100 people kind of sitting in there, and just one hand, maybe two, goes. I didn't know if anybody's hand was going to go. So I just want to say, like, I'm celebrating your courage here to have no plan, no structure. And you're just like, yeah, I'll tell a story. And you got like a nice applause. So how was that experience? That wasn't your first time just randomly doing it?
That was my first time, and I didn't blank out in front of the audience.
Oh.
I mean, impromptu. It was impromptu. If I
Yeah,
the speech, I would not blank out. But impromptu, usually I would not remember anything that I said on the stage. But at that point, I remembered the whole story that I mentioned. And actually, after I did a story slam after you did, so the next season I prepared the speech and I gave one. And people from your story slam, they came up to me and they remembered the story I told at your story slam. I was like, what?
Nice. Now that is awesome feedback.
Yeah, I was like, this is amazing. I didn't even know what I was saying.
Yeah.
But the experience was great. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you have a heavy topic like, give us a 5-minute speech about fear. And you're like, sure. It's not usually something people want to volunteer for. Okay, so this show is also about the different ways that we have decided to share our message. We've talked about singing today. We've talked about opera singing, actually, just to bring that up. We talked about art. We talked about all kinds of things. Were you always a speaker, or were you more like a writer person? Do you like podcasting? Like, what are the ways that you see would be a right fit for you and your personality to share your message?
When you were talking about all those art forms, like speaking, singing, my mind went to dancing. That's what I do.
You dance?
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I enrolled in a lot of dance classes. When I was a kid, I think from 6th grade to 10th grade, I went to a lot of dance classes in my school. But those were mostly traditional Indian dances, so mostly solo stuff. But when I moved to Canada, I wanted to explore everything here. So I started doing swing dancing. I went to salsa. I went to bachata. And this weekend, I went to a dance called contra dancing. It's a mix of line and square dancing. That was amazing, yeah.
So do you swing dance on the waterfront?
I used to, yeah. I didn't go this year, but yeah.
So have you met Ravi then?
Not Ravi Tangri, you mean?
Yeah.
I've met him on LinkedIn, but not on, I didn't know he swing danced.
He's usually down there. I'll have to connect you afterwards.
Yeah, I've met him on LinkedIn. Like, I've just spoken to him. We keep trying to set up a meeting, but it never works out.
That's the worst. Okay, so you're into dancing, not just the traditional stuff, but what is it about dancing? Because you said you went from the traditional to like exploring these other varieties. What does it help you do?
I'm very energetic. So mostly I not hold my energy. So I'm not calm enough to like draw because I won't sit still that long. So that's why I need to release the energy. And that's why I like the high intensity. Swing dancing is very fast. If you have to have your heart rate up.
Yeah, it's very physical.
Yeah. So it's basically for me to just relax because after I'm done dancing, I'm more calmer and everything is gone. That's why I do dancing. And the more you do it, the more you try to catch up the music and then you actually start dancing. So before you're just moving like a monkey, I guess, just dancing around. But
as somebody who lacks rhythm to dance, like an organized dance, like I will go out and just dance my body, but organized dance, yeah, that's what I look like. I just look like I'm flailing around. So I get it.
That's how you start.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That's how you start. You just do whatever. But then after a few months, then the music starts making sense. I'm like, hey, I know that beat and I can do something fancy on this beat. And then you start grooving and you start getting better. Just like speaking, you're not great at first, right? And after keep practicing, you get better. So same with dancing.
Yeah. So we need the cha-cha slide for you, Monique, where they just tell you what to do every time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Any kind of like prescribed, this is the steps for me. But
slide
if you're like,
to the left.
Slide to the right. Yeah. But if you're like, we are dancing a type of given dance that you should understand the steps and know how to freestyle from. No, can't do it.
I don't like freestyle either. So because of my computer science analytical brain, I'm like, give me 10 steps that I can beat. But then I get bored of those 10 steps. Give me 20 more steps that I can do.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a dancer. You got the computer science, which again feels like two totally different people.
I know.
But we see this in a lot of people. It's this part of me feels like an oxymoron to this part of me. But in truth, it's what makes you you.
Mm-hmm.
And like it, opposites do attract. It's so cute. Okay. So speaking computer science dancing, did we hit on what your key message is for people? Like when you're speaking, do you have a set thing that you speak about? Or are you kind of told or asked, hey, can you speak on this topic? And you're like, yes, I can. And then you make something up for them.
So a mix of both. I've started to speak on this new topic. I'm calling it laughing in the face of adversity. So whenever we are faced with a tough situation, I'm telling people to just laugh instead of stressing out and being all crazy. Because when we laugh, I believe that our brains shifts from, I'm going to get a little nerdy here, but it's from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system. So fight and flight and freeze to rest and digest. So when you're laughing, your brain thinks you're safe, and then you can make better decisions. That's my new message. And to your other point, that I've been called to speak on different topics as well. So I've spoken about burnout, I've spoken about microaggressions, I've spoken about public speaking workshops, and like random gigs like Story Slam, where I talk about my life. I've done those as well. But I want to focus on the laughing in the face of adversity, because it's, again, easygoing and chill, right? Why do you have to make life so seriously? So that goes well with that personality of mine.
So I'm assuming that you don't take life seriously. I mean, to point.
Yeah. Remember that phase I was told you about earlier? I was always used to be serious, but now I'm like, what am I doing? I need to just chill, man, and just enjoy life.
I don't know if I've ever seen you without a smile on your face.
Because I'm just reflecting what your personality is. So I do that.
Okay, hold on. I'll just hold it here. Actually, it really hurts. My cheeks have been smiling all day because I love this so much. And the people here. It's okay. I want to shift just a little bit into future version of you, because I want to know what would be so cool. Like genie in a bottle, we're rubbing a lamp, like magic here. It doesn't need to be logical at all. What would be super cool to happen for you in the next year?
Super cool would be like doing calls like this, chatting with people that I actually like chatting with.
This is a dream for you? Oh, you're so welcome.
I also like doing maybe a couple of speaking gigs every month. So as I said earlier, I like building relationships with people. So bringing my old corporate stuff, where I would just go and talk to people without any impression of them, without any ideas of what their background is, and just trying to get to know what their stories are. That's where I enjoyed a lot in the past, and I feel like I've stopped doing it because I'm always like, hey, where is my next speaking gig coming from? Hey, how many people I'm coaching, how much money I'm making, blah, blah, blah. Instead of just like doing it for the fun of it and just getting to know people. Because when I first moved to Canada, that's what I was doing as well. I would just chat with everyone because it was a new country, new experience for me. And I was like, wow, this is such a cool place. I meet people from all over the world. So that joy is kind of missing now, I feel. So I need to rediscover that.
Okay. That's the story that I want to know right now. Why do you feel as though the joy, we've been talking about joy all day, and you just brought it up again, and I love patterns. So that is going to be one of our patterns. But what is it about that journey of joy that you feel like you need to reconnect?
It's more about like matching my own life experience with people's life experience, because I always find there's some commonalities going on with people. And people think that, oh, you're from this country, you're from here, you're from there, you're so different. But I find the more I talk to people, we are all pretty much the same. And then we can just do activities together and just take it easy and laugh more and share stories. I really love that experience of meeting people and forming relationships. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's how I find joy.
Kind of. I'm gonna pry a little bit more here.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
Skip. So What I want to know is, can you tell me a story where we can hear some of the other side of you, where it's like, what the good part, the joy is lovely, but like what happens on the other side of Watso? What has brought you to these places to have these messages, to do these things in the way that you have chosen to do it? Like, what is driving you?
So you want to see the dark side?
I want to see all of you. Well, not like all, yeah.
Wrong podcast. Wrong.
So why I do all that I do? Okay, so here's the thing. When I said I met a lot of people, so not all the experiences are positive, right?
Of course not.
Obviously, so my personality is, again, I don't think much sometimes. I'm like, okay, I see something, I'll just speak it out loud. And when I was in India, everybody loved me for it. They were like, yeah, you're so funny, ha ha ha. But here, people are like, wow, that's like my flaw. And he just pointed out that to me. So people just hated me for it. So the experience wasn't the best in some cases, because sometimes people would be like, wow, you're so rude. Like, really? Am I? I'm just stating the facts, man. But people don't like that, apparently.
Some people don't like that.
Some people don't.
North Americans are very touchy around honesty, because down here in the States, it's the same thing. People like dance around the truth. Dancing around and around the truth. And if you're direct, people know that about you. They're like, she's very direct. They're like, oh, he tells it like it is. And it's like, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm kind of like, hey, we have to, if we don't say the thing, we can't move forward, right? So let's say the thing.
Yeah, and it's so much work to process all what you're supposed to say. I find that's very exhausting, because, hey, this person, I'm supposed to not say this, and how am I supposed to connect with this person then, because I'm not being myself. And if I'm not being myself, I won't like connect with you, and I won't consider you my friend, because I'm not even being myself around you. So
yeah.
Then that experience can be very isolating. So for the longest time, I wasn't very happy. I was feeling lonely because I didn't have any real friends, where you can be yourself and laugh and do those things. And as for the speaking part of things, mostly because people were not happy with how I was acting, I was kind of forced to shut down a bit more. So, hey, this is too much, shut down. So I was like, okay, shutting me down constantly. And at work also, if I'm a software developer, nobody expects me to talk. They were thinking that, okay, this guy is a software guy, he should not be talking much, just do your code and go home. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So at work also, people were like, shut down, close. And if you think about my childhood experiences, my parents are also like me. They're very loud and very authoritative. So my background is also like that, where we were taught to always listen to authority, like parents, society, and never raise your voice, never speak up. So my whole life story has been like that, where I was never allowed to speak up, or somebody was not very happy that I'm speaking up. But when I turned 30, I was like, that this is enough. I need to speak up, because at that point, the loneliness was getting very high and it was getting very sad. I'm like, this is not me. I've never been alone. I've always had a lot of people around me. So that's how I decided to speak up and get into speaking. And yeah, here I am.
Now we've hit on what I wanted.
Okay, you could have just told me that for this. Yeah, that's fine.
You never know where people are or how comfortable they're going to be in sharing some of those darker places. But you just told us, okay, so if we're going to contrast things, growing up, you were never allowed to speak up. And so it caused you to feel that loneliness. And I'm just trying to use your own words back and not create my own. So now you're learning to speak, you're teaching people to speak so that they can also have that experience of being able to speak up and have confidence in being able to speak up, even if what they're saying isn't necessarily something that everybody wants to hear. Because that perfectionist in us, we're like, let's please everybody. And then not everybody's pleased. And then we feel crappy about ourselves because we think it's us. And it's not. Mm-hmm. So then can you share a little bit about what it feels like now that you are speaking and teaching other people to speak, you referenced the loneliness. What does it feel like now? Where are we at on that scale?
So on that scale, it's a little bit better now. I have a couple of people who do like me for it because they also don't understand the society's norms. So I'm actually attracting people like myself. They're like, we are the weirdos. We'll just get together and do whatever we want to do. So they don't understand why you're not supposed to speak up and why you're not supposed to be your authentic self. And it's getting better. It's not like, so in India, I used to have like 10, 12 people always around me. So I used to get a lot of attention. So now I have only a few people, which is great still because they're building me up. They're the right kind of people who won't tell me to shut up. Instead, they'll be like, yeah, you're doing great. As long as you're not being mean or rude, you are fine. I'm like, okay. So on that scale, it's going pretty well now because to be honest, as you said, we don't want to please everybody either. So now I don't aim at pleasing everybody either now. I'm like, okay, if you don't like my message, it's fine. I'll survive. You'll survive. We'll keep living our merry way. And I'll still find people who are attracted to me for who I am. So, and I'm actually pretty busy most of the time, so I don't even care about people pleasing anymore.
Good. We were actually just talking about that with one of our past guests, explaining how like business, our writing, our speaking, whatever it is that we're doing, that we're sharing. I like to think of it as an expression of us. That way I can go, this piece of writing is an expression of me, so that when you reject it, it's not a self-rejection. Like you're not rejecting me as a human being. You're rejecting the content, the expression. And then it makes me feel a little better because I have a bit of that separation and also feel super safe to express myself in any way. And not everybody's going to like every piece of art. We already know that. So I'm like, oh, I can create 1,000 pieces of art. And you're probably going to like some of them. And Monique's probably going to like some of them. And I'm going to like most of them, hopefully. But not everybody's going to like all. And then I feel safe to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Usually I like to approach that with a sense of curiosity as well, because if somebody is not liking something about me, I usually try to question it. What did you think of it? Or what was your perception when I said this or did this? Because usually my intention is something else and people perceive it differently. And that's where the disconnect comes in, because if my intention is good, because my way of talking is a little different from what people are used to, they might perceive it something else. And they were like, whoa, why did he say that? I'm like, if they are patient enough and they're open enough to have a conversation, I could be like, okay, this is what I meant and this is what you understood. And there's a mismatch right there, but my intention was good, which is a little difficult to have sometimes. But yeah, depending on what the message is, and if there is a clear uprising or uproar, I'm like, okay, this is what I was trying to say, guys. Chill.
Life is so much easier when we just all assume that everybody is doing their best and has the best intentions. Mm-hmm. Of course, we all think that from our vantage point, we're doing the right thing. But it's from our vantage point, and somebody else has a different one. You did mention that some people had brought up the fact that you're not allowed to speak up where you're from, like cultural wise. Can you give us some insight on like why that was your experience?
So that was, again, in my family, it's mostly like, okay, we are older than you, and hence we are on this right. So you're not supposed to question all that.
Okay.
So okay. It's mostly because of that. And they were mostly like, older people are always correct because we have been on this earth for so much longer than you have been. And that's why you're so much wiser, et cetera, et cetera. And that was... it's not just like my family, it's more a lot of cultural thing, I think, because a lot of my friends had similar experiences as well. So we have so much information now, right? Because of the internet, we can access so much stuff. And once we bring up something that there's some research for it, sometimes it gets ignored because people think that, hey, nobody in our friend circle talks about it. And who knows what you're saying? So that's why we don't believe you. So it's a little tricky sometimes, but I don't face that anymore. I would say it was like a few years earlier. Now I'm mostly, people see me and they see that some people are agreeing with what I say, so that's why they start agreeing to what I'm saying. It's almost like you need to have enough number of likes before people will listen to what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, okay, if you say so. This social media is interesting.
The popular vote. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he has so many likes, he must be saying something correct.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that with all the stuff going on with social media and youth on social media and the addiction to the likes. Woo. Yeah, maybe that's another talk. What were you talking about? Burnout and microaggression?
Actually, that's a good one.
A little bit of that there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one? Microaggressions?
Both? All of the above.
Sure. Okay. Microaggressions. Actually, there's a conference called Disrupt HR. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, yes. I saw that you did that.
Yeah. So I spoke about that there. So it was in Moncton, and I spoke at the Holy Well. So when I started my career here in Canada, sometimes I would hear funny comments that I would not be sure if it's funny or not. You know, when somebody says something weird to you, I'm like, was that funny? But I heard a lot of that, and a lot of the people I was working with, they heard similar things as well. But I was pretty young when I started working. I think I was 24 or something when I first got my first job in Canada. And I was really confused. I was like, I don't know what to make of it. But a few years down the road, I was like, no, that's not right. That's not what my background is, and that's not what my upbringing was. So it didn't resonate with my identity. And that's when I decided to speak up about it. I'm like, if it's not resonating with my identity, maybe there's a lot of other people who don't resonate with what they're hearing. So the speech topic was again about microaggressions, and I just spoke about this one comment that I heard that I remembered 10 years later. I still remember that comment. Because the comment was, I was working and I was an immigrant because I was new to Canada. And the guy said, hey, you hang out with immigrants, you must be running an immigrant camp or something. I'm like, what? And
no, that's not funny.
No, so I was like, dude, you know, I had servants growing up. I came here because I wanted to come. But I didn't say that to the guy, but it stuck with me for a long time. And there's a number of comments I can bring you up to. The English comment is very common that all immigrants face. Even though we have master's degrees, we get the English comment like, yes, we don't know English and we have done master's degrees.
I don't know English and I live here.
And it's usually coming from someone who you're like, oh, you're definitely not speaking the Queen's English. Like,
no.
So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry those things happened to you. And
no, that's fine. So it's not just like in North America. So if I take it from the other angle, if I was in India and I had some immigrant come to India, I would probably make some stupid comments as well. It's not because I don't understand everybody's upbringing. I'm pretty sure when I was a teenager, I must have said a lot of stupid things.
But that's biological. Your brain isn't developed yet. And so all teenagers are not the brightest.
I do want to take a moment to celebrate, as I don't know why it took me this long to be like, oh yeah, you were a part of the first local TEDx that we've had in 8 years. 8 years, because I have been looking. And the one that was before Argyle Street was in Pugwash, but apparently the guy only created it for the people that he wanted on the stage, for like his school or whatever group that he was a part of. And I was like, oh, so that's why I'm not allowed to apply? Okay.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh my God, there's a TEDx in Halifax. The amount of excitement. So I just want to be like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know you were a part of the team, so I want to celebrate you for that. Did you get to speak on the stage too? Because I didn't get to attend.
I just did the land acknowledgement at the beginning. I wasn't a speaker, but I did speak on the stage.
Well, you were on the stage.
I was coaching the speaker, so technically I was on the stage through them.
Yes. How was that experience?
Oh, it was amazing. It went really well. At the level of speeches we got really lucky with the speakers, I find, because, oh my God, they will be published soon. the speeches, but they were intense speeches. Some of them were very brainy, I would say, for the lack of a better term, but some of them were very historic as well, where they did some history about Nova Scotia and spoke about that. And the depth some people went to, I would be scared to go to those depths because of the emotional pain they witnessed in their lives. And we had some people from the Ukraine war as well who were actually on the front lines of the war.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was really good.
Wow. So what you're saying is that you were a coach, a speaking coach to TEDx speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Not all of
that's
them.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to celebrate that because I'm like, wait, I don't know if you have thought of it this way yet, and I need you to celebrate so that you could be like, look what I just did. That was amazing.
No, I haven't thought it like how you were doing it. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's just a coaching gig.
No,
that's great. That's I'm always working to try to get a TEDx, and so that's a dream, and you're helping people achieve those dreams. So that's amazing. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
We're planning to do it next year as well. So fingers.
I need to apply again. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it doesn't line up.
Well, now you have an
medical appointment.
You know the coach. It's far from me, but I mean, sure.
I had offered my services to help coach, and I knew that I couldn't be a part of like the other stuff going on at the same time. So I'm like, if I don't get accepted, then I'll help coach. But then I didn't get accepted, but then medical issues happened, and I was like, I can't.
I'm sorry.
I don't have the capacity, so I couldn't be involved at all. So I'm like, tears. So I'm living through you.
No, that's okay. You can coach next year.
Yeah. Well, we were joking with Monique. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be in the hospital 4 times this month.
I'm sorry. Oh,
it's all good.
I mean, you're laughing. That's why I'm laughing. It's not a funny thing, but since you were laughing, so I was like, what?
No, it's
that's
fine.
your laugh through adversity thing, right?
You see, there we go.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing with all of this is find the joy, stay on the side of joy, and I can still have the negativity, but I'm choosing the joy. That's it. So at this point, we want to know, where do we find you? What's your favorite way to communicate?
Yeah.
So I'm on LinkedIn, and I have actually also started a community. So I like building relationships. As I said, there's a platform called School, and I started my community there. It's close to 170 people there right now. So it's growing. People are finding me there as well. It's great.
What's the platform called? I'm taking my notes.
School.com. And my community is called Resilient Speakers. So we are all very resilient. We won't give up speaking up.
Yep.
And LinkedIn is there, and I'm on Instagram as well. So I'm trying to be on all the platforms.
But which one do you like the most? Did you say LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm working on getting on LinkedIn. Like I'm on LinkedIn with a profile and stuff, but the consistency.
Yeah, that's like, for me, I think that's the one that I'm the most consistent on, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're consistent on one platform, it's good.
Because I hate social media. That's a different conversation, which is hard in like today's world. And then it's not good for your mental health.
Just find me on School. It's not social media. There's nothing social media.
School. SCHOOL.
No, SKOOL.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I knew it couldn't be that.
No.
Simple. It had to be cooler.
Yeah.
So now that I've got it, I'm gonna come find you.
It's more exclusive than LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, I'm like, I don't check often, but School is people who took a step to actually get to know me. So I'm very passionate about that place. I'm like, hey, these people are my people. I'll talk to them. And just like how Laura chats with us. So
Awesome.
So then I do like to hold space at the end of an interview, just in case there's something on your mind or in your heart you want it to share. So what would you love to leave people with?
I would say go back to my message, laughing in the face of adversity, because in my life, I have faced a lot of hard experiences. And for a long time, as I was telling Laura, I was getting sad. And when I was putting blame on everybody else, I was saying, oh, I'm like this because of this person. I'm like this because my parents raised me this way. But then I started laughing at myself. Who's this complaining person who's just like complaining all the time? That wasn't me. So as you said, looking at things at a different positive angle. And and shrinking the problem almost, because if you let it empower or overpower you, then it'll take over your life. And always looking at it as a humor, and it's not end of the life or end of the world. You can still learn from this experience and keep moving forward. And when you laugh, you relax, and then you make better decisions and you keep moving forward. I think the key is to not get stuck somewhere because something happened with you and get into that boo-boo state where you are just like crying all the time. Just keep moving forward and taking life head on.
That's awesome.
Yep. Aw. Okay, so I'm going to call this the official close of the main portion of the interview. But this is our playtime. Okay, so for the next 5 minutes or so, I like to do a little bit of a recap because this part is great for social media. You're like, I could take a little snippet. So I'm going to start with Monique this time. Monique, what is something that stood out to you during our conversation today?
For someone who says he doesn't like the unstructured, unknown, all of his hobbies, like dancing is very unstructured. Like you learn the steps, right? But then you go out there, you just do it. You just throw them all together in a way that you feel. And to speak off the cuff, especially about something like fear, that's a lot of unstructure. And though the TEDx talk coaching, you're teaching them to be structured. I'm pretty sure you were bobbing and weaving through their practices, right? So it seems like for someone who says I don't like it, it seems to be your strength. It seems to be your quiet strength.
Point that out.
That's a good observation, because as you mentioned TEDx speakers, and I was just telling them to be themselves. I'm like, forget the structure, just try to. So there was this one lady, she was very scared to cuss on the stage. I was like, does that lighten you up? Does that bring a fire inside you? She's like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, you should do it then. Because she was so scared of doing it. Do it, be you.
Yeah. I was like, as long as that follows TEDx guidelines, then
yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I did. I researched a lot.
So what's something that stood out to you?
I can talk about difficult topics much more easily now. Before, I would not be able to talk about that stuff without getting all into that sad train and again playing the blame game and not taking responsibility. But now I think that everybody has been handed a set of cards. Whatever set of cards you have been handled, just deal with them and just play the game. So I think, I've been laughing a lot more in this call than I usually do.
I'm going to take that as a win.
Yeah.
Something that stood out to me was when I first met you, it was you being courageous and it was you talking about fear off the cuff. So when you messaged me and you were like, I want some structure, I was like, this is not the Wetzel that I know. And then to watch you say yes to this, come here, and you really did play with us a lot. And I did notice that sometimes you were just like, okay, this is going to be a 15-minute interview. I'm just going to give you the short things. And I'm like, no, pulling some stuff out of you. We got there. And you told us some stories and you told us a bit of the vulnerability, but we also got to see the joy. Because what I'm looking for is the transition. I need some sort of contrast. Mm-hmm. And if we're always up here, then there's no contrast. But you gave us that contrast. So I want to celebrate and say thank you for that.
Oh, great with the questions. Thank you for asking the questions.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. This was wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
and
Monique.
if I land my TEDx, I'm coming to you.
Absolutely, please.
So at this point, we have about a minute left. Did I have a story? Okay, why not allowed? No, I did. I covered everything that I wanted. I didn't have any extra stories. So this means if there's something sneaky that you want to put on social media to be like, you should totally watch my talk. Say it now or forever hold your peace.
I'm not very good at the marketing stuff, so it's fine. I'll just share the stuff you sent me. I'm just like Monique here.
You're like, you don't need to listen to my talk. It wasn't fun. We didn't talk about how I'm a TEDx speaking coach at all and how that came to pass. There you go.
I need to be like good at showing off. I'm still learning that stuff. So.
Oh, it's hard for all of us, okay? All of us. The difference is if you can play with it and put some laughs on it, then it doesn't hurt as much. And the more you do it, then the less uncomfortable it feels. And then the less uncomfortable it feels, you start to say it a little more serious without trying to pull back on it.
Watch my talk. I really like Peter's face.
Watch my talk. Okay.
Screw people off.
Again, thank you so much, Russell, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, nice to meet you, Monique.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Our next guest is behind the scenes. Chineme, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready. I have to tell you a secret, though. I said I have to tell you a secret.
Yes.
Because I went on to Google and I was like, how do you say her name?
Okay. Oh, well, you said it right, Chineme.
Because I was like, I need you to say it, or somebody that knows you well to say it. And I'm like, I don't know. So then I found a video and I was like, practice, Laura, practice.
You found a video of me.
You were being interviewed by some lady and she said your name. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to her social media and double check this. How do you see it?
Yeah, it's Chineme, just two syllables. Chineme.
It's beautiful. Okay. That's not usually how I start an interview. Usually how I start an interview is with a question just to shake things up, because I think it's more fun if we get the human being instead of the elevator pitch.
Yeah. Do I have my glasses showing light? Are they clear?
There's a lot of glare.
If you put your head up, we see the glare. If you put your head down, we don't. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's a secret.
Okay, so here's my opening question, Chineme. If you could have other people describe you in 3 words, what would you love those 3 words to be?
Energetic.
Oh, okay.
Unstoppable.
Ooh.
And empathetic.
I can't write that fast, so hold on. Empathetic. And that is Chineme. Okay. So how do those 3 words, energetic, unstoppable, oh, I love the energy behind that one, and empathetic, how do they play a key role in the core message that you have for people?
My main message is that you can do most of what you really want to do if you have the inclination to do it and the guidance to show you how to do it. I like to lift people up, especially women, and give them confidence. And that's why I started Unstoppable Shepreneurs. It's still a work in progress, but the idea was that we can just keep on going if we want to. If we don't want to, fine, but we do whatever it is that we want to do. You know?
I love that. Okay, can you say that word again? Oh, Unstoppable Shepreneurs. I'm so glad you put that in your name. Why? Okay, back up a second. Why did you start Unstoppable Shepreneurs and not just like the surface of because you could do most of what you really want to do? There's a story behind that. I know that there is. Can you tell me why you felt unstoppable and that transition to you feeling unstoppable?
Yeah, I think it's my life story, as it were. Yeah. I've done so much, and I've always been very confident. Even as a child, I used to help other kids, and if they were being bullied, they'd come to me. Aww. And I've always, I've always been that way inclined. I'll be the first to stand up and do something, to volunteer, to lead a team. I'm a lawyer. I'm a solicitor by profession. And before I'd actually completed my training, after you've done your degree and your course and everything, you've got to work for 2 years as a trainee solicitor. Before I ended those 2 years, about 18 months in, I was made manager of the whole litigation department.
Wow.
That I was. And that's really just because I think I get things done. You know, I one thing I can't bear to stand is, oh, but we can't change this because it's how we've always done things. And I say, well, from now you're going to do it differently, and we're going to all work together. And you know, because I believe in fun at work as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've left the corporate life now. I had a daughter who has special needs. And she's now almost 27, which is quite unbelievable. And I used to love my job as a lawyer and, you know, team leader and deputy head of legal services. And we just had so much fun at work once I got there, and the productivity skyrocketed, you know, once I got there. But then after I had my daughter, even though I used to love to be at work, I love the law, I love going to court, love arguing, you know, cases and everything. Once I had my daughter and I realized that she did have difficulties, my mind wasn't really on the job anymore. I just wanted to be with her, you know.
Yeah.
So I managed to get some sort of early retirement thing. And then I became a governor at her school, you know. Once she got the diagnosis of her learning disability and everything, that was a whole different world. You know, I actually wrote a book about our struggles. It's called Special Hidden Talents. One mother's journey through the world of special education needs. You know, it's traumatic, but, you know, you have to. I'm lucky that I am a lawyer because I had to battle so hard, you know, go to so many lengths. In the end, I ended up taking them to court. And so we set the precedent that they've got to teach a child in the way that's appropriate for them, not in the bog standard way that everyone else gets taught. And, you know, it's just common sense. Plus, it's the law. And because it's the law, they didn't have a leg to stand on, but they still went all the way to court. You know, I couldn't afford, because I'd left my job and I started working online, you know, as an entrepreneur or self-employed, had no money. But I had a car that I've had for 23 years, my CRV, our Curvy. And so I said to my daughter, as long as we have this car, even if we lose the house with all the legal fees, we've got somewhere to sleep. But you are going to read. You're going to learn to read no matter what. And now she's a prolific reader, but it took a long time. You know, and I wrote it all down in my book. And then after all of that, as though that wasn't bad enough, because I was a sole parent and her sole carer. I didn't have any other support, you know. A few friends would help with sometimes picking up from school and stuff like that, but the family, nothing. So I started online, just doing online marketing and stuff like that and writing. But then in 2011, I had a car accident. And I developed what they call post-traumatic rheumatoid arthritis and post-traumatic fibromyalgia, probably the two worst things ever because of the chronic pain and everything.
Yeah.
So the first couple of years, you know, they didn't know what was wrong with me. And so I was just I got really depressed. I was in a state where I couldn't move for the pain. And so there's nothing I could do. And one day I said to myself, look, Chi, what is it you normally do in these kind of situations? And although I'd never had that kind of situation before, I just started to write. About how I'd taken the government legal services to court for race and sex discrimination and won. I've taken, you know, the big financial companies to court. They tried to take my house unlawfully. And so I took that to court and won. And because I didn't have money, I did these things myself, you know. So I've done quite a lot. A hell of a lot. But when I was just in my bed and I couldn't move and I'm hyperactive anyway, and it was so depressing. And so one day I just started to write about the way that I normally tackle situations. And I came up with a 7-step action plan. And it was my first book, actually. It's called There's No Time Like the Present to Create Your Future. And you know, so within it I give a bit of my story and background and, you know, what's going on, and I just did this 7-step action plan. No matter what your problem is, it could be a ticket that you got, traffic ticket when you knew you hadn't done anything wrong. It could be that someone slammed the door in your face. It could be you wanted to make sure your daughter learned to read. It could be anything at all, big or small. And then my first book was that. It was an anthology, but it was my book and my cover and everything. I've got a cover.
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
So that was my first book. The second one was Special Hidden Talents, about my journey and my daughter's journey through the education system and our success with that. And it's when that came out, I had emails from around the world. One that really stuck out for me was, gosh, when I read your book, I was in tears. I was really in tears because, I went through the same thing. It wasn't that successful, but it's so lovely to see that someone else has gone through it and beat the system, and it's really given me a lot of hope. And I had things like that all on LinkedIn, everywhere. This was back in 2012, so it's quite a while ago now. No, sorry, 2018 was the second book, Special Hidden Talents. Apart from that, you said about having the books that I don't know if you can see. Can you see the books there? There's 13 books that I've been involved in. The first 2 are mine, There's No Time Like the Present. Then there's Special Hidden Talents, about our journey. And the rest are all anthologies that I've been involved in,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's 30. I couldn't find them all, so I'll put them there because it's just there to have some, out. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, where I am now is, so I've got this chronic condition, which it gets progressively worse. But what I've done, they like to give you lots of pharmaceutical drugs and that, which is all very well. But if I'm very sensitive, so if it goes wrong, my daughter's on her own, So I did so much research into the natural supplements, and so I've gotten to a place now where I can function. I still get the flares and laid up in bed for a few days, but now I can function. It cost a fortune, but I've got some semblance of my life back. And my daughter is now in supported accommodation. So yeah. I mean, she's here most of the time, but at least I can say, okay, time to go. Whereas before it was just me and her, and I couldn't really do anything. Yeah, so that's good. Now this, you said about the Unstoppable Sheepreneurs, that I had done so many anthologies and stuff, and I really wanted to, put it all in one book, so I've got the actual book cover and everything ready, and it's called, I can remember, Unstoppable Sheepreneurs, and it's about being successful and leaving a legacy. I can't remember the thing. I've got it somewhere, but so that's going to incorporate most of my anthologies, and take it from there.
Let's talk about legacy for a minute, because for years I thought of legacy as, the things that you leave behind, like a house or the car or any money, or if anybody had any of that. Probably not in some cases.
Yeah.
So when I became an entrepreneur, that conversation kept coming back up. It's like, what are you leaving as your business? What are you leaving as a message? Can you explain to me why you like legacy and why it's important to you?
I think it's important because I think it's Nelson Mandela that said that as well as living a good life, make sure that you've helped people, that your life meant something in that your communication with other people, in some way. So, I mean, I became one, when I was stuck in bed, I became a coach, a life coach, success coach. And I actually went and did an accredited coaching course. And it was great because during the the becoming stage, you had to coach anybody and everybody, and I ended up coaching because it was when I got my diplomas and that, I was doing it online, and so I was coaching people from Kenya, from South Africa, so because of the internet, your reach is so far, and I love doing it, and I love seeing the results. But the problem was it was so time intensive because you spent a lot of time with one person, So I thought, isn't it better to try and do something that more people can have, take advantage of?
Okay.
Yeah. And that's really, there's no time like the present to create your future, because it applies to anyone, who's interested in that sort of thing.
Oh, I love the idea of coaching people all over the world, having those one-on-one conversations or two-on-one conversations, because
absolutely amazing. Yeah.
At the same time, we get people's stories, we get them as human beings, we get their messages in the business, but also understanding that, since earlier we had conversations of wealth versus health, knowing what our limits are.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing what feels good and is sustainable for us.
See, my issue with myself is that I try to do too much, far too much. And
it's all of us, lady.
And the thing is, about 4 years ago, after I just came up with Unstoppable Shepreneurs and I was so all gung-ho and everything, my daughter had gone to a supported living, and I was sort of rushing around like a lunatic. And I could feel that my body wasn't liking it. So I thought, look, now I've got the opportunity. I thought, when my daughter goes, I can do everything I wanted to do. But I realized that now she's gone, I need to rest. It's been 20 odd years. My body was telling me, just stop it, And so I did. And so it's still a work in progress, Unstoppable Shepreneurs, although I do have the Facebook group. But, there's so much more to do with it, as I realize there's so much more to do with everything else, And there's been a lot of change with AI and everything. So there's lots of stuff that I've got to get stuck into. But then there's no rush, There is no time like the present to create your future, but do one thing at a time. I've got so many projects going on, and I've got to sometimes just say, just relax, just breathe. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was watching a few reels lately of celebrities on whatever award stage, and they're giving the whole speech with their little award, and they're like, thank you to whatever, I couldn't have done this on my own. But I was watching them at the same time as, in my mind, I'm planning all these projects and my to-do list and my schedule. And I realized, oh yeah, I don't have to do all of this alone. And I don't have to necessarily pay people either. Who is it that celebrates me and the work and the project? And how can I get them on my team in whatever capacity? So is it a volunteer capacity? Is it like a trade capacity? Is it a best friend capacity? Who knows? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just stopped doing all this stuff by myself.
Yeah, I must say I still do a lot by myself. But, like publishing the books, other people publish. I just write.
Somebody once asked me, like, do you have to do these things? And I was like, what do you, and like, it was like, that question like stopped me. I was like, what do you mean? Exactly. Like everything has to be. She's like, but does it? I'm like, but it doesn't. And it doesn't have to be done now.
Exactly.
It had to be done yesterday. Because if yesterday me actually did the thing, then today me would see some of the benefits.
So you've been interviewing all day, right? You've been interviewing all day?
For about 4 hours now.
Okay, right, great.
Oh, I've been online for 4 hours. So I'm usually behind the scenes a little bit just to prep everything. It's all good. Yeah, we sit in the chair for a very long time. And then our butts get sore. So, but back to you. So, Chineme, okay, you're obviously a writer. So I want to know, were you always a writer? Like as a kid, did you like writing? Did teachers tell you that you were good at it?
Well, I love reading. I think I love reading. I was about 4 years old when my party piece was, do you know how to spell Czechoslovakia? Because I do. I didn't know where it was. For some reason, but I just love to read. So I used to read everything, everything, Harry Potter, Maya Angelou, anything and everything. And then, of course, when I started the law degree, I was in my element. These huge tomes about all sorts of things like contractual law. And I used to do over and above what I was supposed to do for my assignments,
Probably.
Because I love to read. Yeah, I love to read. And so I did the degree and went into the law. But, I really didn't, I loved my team and I loved all the stuff I did. I actually went back to college to do, because I got headhunted a few times, and I was headhunted to this local government organization, and the place was dire. Actually, there's a longer story to that. When I told you, in my first job, I was promoted before I qualified. After I qualified, I stayed there for about two years. And then I thought I need to explore other opportunities, private sector and the public sector. So I became a locum. So I went to all these different organizations, learned so much, contributed quite a lot. And there was this organization that I went into that was such a mess. I was a locum, but they put me in charge of the team. And, I did loads of, you have these point by point systems, especially with litigation. You can actually have a process that people follow, so they don't get anything wrong. So I devised quite a few of those. Now, 10 years later is when I was headhunted by the same organization, went back to the company and saw that my, do it stuff was still being used. I said, well, it's a bit old now. The law's changed quite a bit. So let's, bring it up to date. And that's the sort of thing that I was faced with whenever I went into these big organizations. And I thought, well, how did they function before I got here? But, I just I love to lead. I love to help. We have fun at work and, make sure that everyone's built up and they learn a lot. It was a lovely time, but then, as I say, I had my daughter and my life kind of changed for the better, but just become more expanded, and then obviously with the coaching, I was still kind of helping people, and then I thought, well, let me just make it consulting, Chineme Noke consulting, so people could come to me with anything, be corporate or entrepreneurial, internet marketing, whatever it might be that I have knowledge of, I can kind of share my knowledge and experience. And then I thought I'd focus on the women, because I'm a woman. I know what I'm like. I know many women are probably like me with kids and jobs and professions and everything. And we could get together and not necessarily do anything more, but support each other. That's so Unstoppable Shepreneurs. That's about supporting other professionals and business people and everything. Sometimes you're on your own when you're on the computer. So I've got friends all over the world, but sometimes it can be pretty lonely. Do you know what I mean? And if I have a question that I need answering or some help with something, isn't it nice to go into the group, Unstoppable Shepreneurs, or I'm a member of quite a few, like Women Helping Women and all that, and just ask the question. You get loads of responses, and it's just nice to know that you're part of something more.
So what I'm hearing is you created the thing that you needed, how you needed it.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that this morning on a show that I have called Monday Morning Mindfulness, because in the middle of the summer, I came back from helping a friend, and we had some sort of like spiritual ceremony thing on the beach. And I realized the amount of energy that I am using trying to heal all the time is like 90% of my energy. Yeah. It's exhausting.
It is.
So how about I just take that energy back? I create a healing maintenance schedule. And then I was like, wait, I have all of this free energy. So I created something called Taco Tuesday, which stands for Take Action Collaboratively Online, because I needed to get things done.
Oh,
but
awesome.
I didn't need to learn new things. We're already magical and badass. I just needed, I'm an extrovert. I needed the space and people on a screen so that I'm not alone.
Right.
And I can get things done with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that you're creating the things that you need and not what you think other people need.
Right, exactly. All I can work on is my experience. And so I know that there must be many other women in the same boat, but we just need to link up, and not necessarily, like I say, for courses and stuff like that, but just support each other.
But I want to dive in a bit more. Since you created it for you the way that you needed it, how do you feel people are responding to that?
Very well. I mean, like I say, it's like 4 years ago. I mean, it's still there, but I've had to take a break, and I've just been doing lots of writing. So I kind of stepped back because I was just doing too much. It's too much. But I've gone back into the group to say, look, it's going to start, get a reboot, and we're going to carry on doing what I started to do. But meanwhile, I've just been writing all sorts of, all sorts of uplifting, confidence boosting, collaborative stuff with loads of other people. I mean, one of the things I wrote, which I'm really quite proud of, is it's just a chapter in a book. It's like 3,000 or 4,000 words, and it's be bold, own your brilliance. It's a guide for women mainly, but it applies to everybody to have more confidence. And it's a lot to do with mirror on the wall. What is it I really want from my life, and blah blah blah, and but it is good. It's funny. It's really good. I was just reading it again recently when I was looking through all the things I've written. So that sort of thing, that upliftment. Yeah.
When you reread things that you've written before, do you remind yourself, or do you ever get surprised at how brilliant you are?
Yes, I'm just saying that to my daughter. Because people ask me about special healing, and so I thought, well, let me get it out. And I started reading it again. And I don't normally read on the train because I've got lots of things going on in my mind. But I started reading it right from the beginning. I thought, wow, this is really good, And although there's bits that are really heart-wrenching, there's bits that are so laugh out loud funny. But it was just going through that thing, and then at the end, obviously, when I got that thick envelope through the door with the judgment and the order and that, and I went and got a glass of wine first. Sat down at the kitchen table for about half an hour. I just looked at that envelope and then I ripped it open. I saw that we'd won. So that was another precedent, with my daughter's name in it. When early on in my career, because I always look very young, but that's not even the issue. Being a Black woman in a white male-dominated world.
Yes.
And we're talking now 30 years ago. And because I knew my worth, I got first-class honours in the law and everything, and I went to all these organisations and was made manager of certain things, and left the spaces I left so much better than they were before. And I still get emails now or on social media from people that I met during those times and said, oh God, thank you, Chineme, for all you did. I'm now a manager in Birmingham. I didn't think I had it in me, but you just gave me the confidence. You just, you brought me out of my shell. And, and people say that all the time because people are so talented, but they have no idea because, they're not taught, unless you're rich and go to one of these posh schools where they pay to rule the world. Then you don't actually know for a lot of time how good you are. You're just trying to get a job, earn a living, perhaps buy a house if you're lucky, but it's just on and on and on. And then you can see something in somebody and say, look, come on, you could do this. They say, oh, I'm not sure. So when I was managing, in my team, every single person in my department, be they, all sorts of stuff, all the qualified staff, the unqualified staff, the clerical staff, all of them, we had a rota where every single one would take their turn as being the chair of the group meetings. So they had to go and build up the oh God, sorry, I've got to find my answer. The things that we were going to talk about. The
agenda.
Meeting notes. I don't know.
Just what they're going to talk about in the meeting. So they went all around to make sure to ask people what do they want to see, happen. What do they want to get done? Agenda. That's it. So they all had that responsibility to see how it worked. And then on their when it was their turn, they actually chaired the meeting and did what they had to do. And you could see people just grow. You could just see them blossoming, because instead of doing what they've always done, they're doing something more, and it's, you know, it's just so satisfying. It's, you know, I just love to, especially girls, women, just love to give them confidence to do more, because a lot of them can do more. They want to do more, but they're scared, you know, a lot of the time, or they've been ridiculed and put down by others, and, you know, so I just come to say, you know, just a safe space, you know, soar.
That's a great leader, though, right? It not only acknowledge people, but encourage people.
Exactly.
And I think as I've grown, like in my career, you can pick out leaders so easily, good leaders, because they're in the back. They're not in the front. They're supporting. They're encouraging. They're pushing, right? They're not the ones in the front yelling and setting the tone of the agenda. They've worked with someone to set that agenda. So that's a really great reflection of who you are. And it carries through in your work.
And that particular organization, you know, they had, this is a legal department. The photocopiers didn't work properly. Now, if you know about litigation, all the stuff you got to take to court, the photocopiers weren't working properly. The offices were dingy and awful. And I used to complain to the chief executive and say, look, we need better equipment, we need brighter offices, and they just kind of, So what I did, I embarked on a postgraduate diploma in management studies, and in my dissertation was about morale and motivation. You know, I based it on our particular organization, although I've now just edited it all so it applies to everyone. So I did this course. I did my dissertation, for which I got an A, and it was from an outside university. So I just presented my findings to the chief executive, and I said, look, this organization can be so much better if only the morale was high. I mean, I described it when I first got there as walking through mud. It was horrible. They were so unhappy, and they didn't really care about anything. But, you know, by the time I left, I was only there 3 years. By the time I left, they'd got us new photocopiers, they'd spruced up the offices, and everyone was happy and, you know, and doing great work. We won national awards, our legal department, because they were motivated and they felt valued in a way that they hadn't done before, you know, and it was lovely. It was really lovely to see that. So I left that legacy, you know, when I left to be with my daughter. And then, of course, in the school, the governors, I left a bit of a legacy there as well, although they were very resistant with everything. So I got lots of, especially a lot of stuff from America, actually, to do with how you learn, because what is said is any child can be taught as long as they have the right teacher that knows how to teach them, you know. And I had lots of information from America, which I presented to them, you know, and I actually did a thing, and they said, Chineme, you are exceeding your authority. I said, actually, by law, as a school governor, I have a legal duty to make sure that you know, we all know what we're doing and doing the best for the kids. It's a legal duty, you know. And so they you know, they didn't like it, but you know, of course, it was. But
you left your stamp, and you left it better for other kids and other mothers, and that's something that I notice over and over and over again on my own podcast. For my next season, I'm giving a little bit of a view in. I interviewed a mother who had something happen to her child, and she was like, well, I'm just going to change the law. And you know, and that's how mothers think. It's like, I'm just going to finally fix this so no one else has to do it. Done. We're going to fix the root of this. I'm just, you know, and you're doing that. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's been, but it's a big fight, you know. So even after my daughter was diagnosed and everything, we got the judgment, we got everything that she needed to get certain things. And then I had my accident, because since she was born, I didn't go to social services. I did everything myself because I was working, you know, I had a good salary, you know, bought my house, and, you know, I'd done everything. And then when it was time for her to go to secondary school, that's when I had my accident. And so, you know, I didn't know what to do. And I thought, well, I've got to go and get some help for her, you know. And so I went and I went to get the help for her. And they just said, oh, there's nothing wrong with her. And I said, she has something called Williams syndrome. You know, she has a profound learning disability. She can now read because I had to go to court to make sure they taught her properly. And that's going to help other kids as well. But she needs to be able to go out. She's very vulnerable, so she can't go out on her own even now. And when I was fit and able, we used to travel the world. We used to go everywhere together, you know. But then I couldn't do anything. And it was horrible because when I was left stuck at home, she was stuck at home. You know, I managed to, there's so many like angels that came into our lives. They all seem to be locums. You know, the person, the doctor that diagnosed her when she was 2.5 years old, he was a locum. You know, we've been to doctors and hospitals and all sorts. And we were there one day. He just happened to be there. I'd never met him before. And we were there for a couple of hours. He just observed Mardy, and I was talking to him about, you know, how she is and everything. And then he said, right, when it finished, he said, right, I'm going to go and get another next appointment. And so he went away, and I saw him scribbling on the thing. So I had a look at what he'd written down, and he put Williams syndrome, ? Anyway, so we got the next appointment. I dropped my daughter off to her nursery. I was supposed to go to work, but I went straight back home onto the internet to find out what this Williams syndrome was. And I was reading it and reading it and reading. I thought, my God, this is what my daughter has. But of course, it's very, very few and far between that you get medical professionals that know about these rare things, you know, so you have to kind of educate them on the way. And luckily, I had a lot of help from my compatriots in America who were very knowledgeable about, you know, the eating, the sleeping, what they needed to do, and, you know, the everyday things, which I could pass on then to the doctors, you know. Yeah, so I mean, she got what she needed in the end. Once I had the diagnosis, then I knew, once you know, then you can do something about it, you know.
At this point, Chineme, I want to know where it is that we can find you and your favorite way to communicate.
Right, LinkedIn. Well, when I was at that period that I was offline for a long time, I had loads of websites, you know, Chineme Noke Coaching, Chineme Noke Consulting, Special Hidden Talents, all sorts of stuff, and the affiliate marketing stuff. When I was ready to go back, every single one of them had been hacked so badly that they couldn't. I don't know if you heard of the Marketers Cruise. I started going in 2013 and went right up until the pandemic in 2020, and I haven't been back since. So I had contact with experts on this sort of thing. They said, well, just send us the stuff and we'll have a look. And they had a look and they said, gosh, you know, it's going to be really difficult. For each of the websites, it would take at least $10,000 to get it back to how it was supposed to be. Yeah. So I just thought, you know, it is what it is. I just let them all go. And I carried on with my writing and everything. And then with social media, you don't necessarily need a website anymore. You can contact people in different ways. But I am on LinkedIn quite a bit, and of course Facebook. I've only just kind of started on TikTok because I thought it was a bit frivolous. But now I see that it's a really good place to do business, you know. Yeah. And X, of course, although I don't, you know, it's usually just arguments on there.
Okay,
yeah, so, I mean, on social media.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say on social media, at Chineme Noke. They've got my name spelt there, at Chineme Noke. Even if you Google it, a lot of stuff will come up, and you'll see how I can be contacted.
So we have about a minute left. And at the end of every interview, I like to hold a bit of space, just in case there's something on your mind or in your heart that you want to share. So what would you love to leave people with today?
Just try and live out your dreams. I know it sounds airy-fairy, but a lot of people, they're so stuck in their day-to-day grind that they don't look up and see what's around them, you know. I mean, I've taken, like I said, I've taken my daughter all around the world, and she's a wonderful. I used to go myself before I had her, and I thought, well, when she's 18 months old, well, she's curious enough, let's go, And she's the best, because she said, oh, Mom, look, oh my mom, oh mommy, look at that. She's great. She just loves to, meet new people like I do and see lovely things. And one of the things that got me out of bed, actually, when I did my There's No Time Like the Present to Create Your Future, I made a promise to myself that one thing I've always wanted to do since I was a child was go to China. So I thought, right, that's what we're aiming for, Mardy. We're going to China. And she kind of looked at me in bed and said, are you going to be well enough, Mummy? I said, I certainly am. And I just did everything I had to do, take all the right supplements, exercising, walking as far as I could, even though it's hurting. And about I bought the tickets. I bought the tour tickets for China and Thailand, which was about 6 months into the future. And so I just got myself as well as I possibly could. And so we went there, and then the year after we went to India, see Taj Mahal and all that. And, we just kept on going, because even though it was difficult for me. I mean, I love cruising, so that's one good thing. So if you get on a cruise, everything's done for you, really, So it wasn't too difficult for me, although I did yoga when I could and stuff like that. And we just had a ball, And so, So one thing, if there's something that you really want to do, but you don't know how to do it, then find out how to do it. Go to someone that, and there's lots of like YouTubers and bloggers and all that, podcasters that tell you everything you need to know about anything, And with AI, the world has just opened up, but a lot of people don't realize it yet, So I like to give that knowledge.
Nice. So I'm going to call this the official close of the main part of the interview. Thank you, Chineme.
Well, thank you, Laura. Lovely meeting you, and you, Monique.
Oh, no, we're going to stick around for like 3.5 more minutes, because this is our fun social media time. So we're going to give people a little bit of a sneak preview of what we just did.
All right. Okay. Were you filming right from the beginning?
Oh, we've been live for almost 4 hours straight.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm tired.
So at this point, Chineme, I'm going to ask you first, what is one thing that stood out to you in our conversation today?
Really? I mean, it's funny because I very rarely talk about myself. And it's just the space to be able to say, what I've done and this, that, and the other, which I don't. I mean, obviously people see it when it comes out, or I've got an Amazon book page, which I need to update and stuff like that. So people see it bits and pieces. They don't really know you or the journey you've been on and all of that. So it was just nice to talk about that, Yeah.
Which is the whole point of what I want to do with this show, is how do I get to know the human being behind all of the stuff that we see every day?
Yeah. It's a brilliant thing. I can't wait to see the rest of the others, actually.
Yeah. Monique, what is something that stood out to you?
Her tenacity. There isn't a problem this woman hasn't solved, isn't gonna solve, hasn't found others who have solved the problem. And it's you literally out there making sure other people's children are cared for.
Yeah.
Years ago, I think it was a Maya Angelou quote. If it's not, internet, please forgive me. But I saw a quote that said, I realized that I mother everyone you bring to me as my child. Everyone who you bring to me I am to love, right? And then I saw another quote that said, and I think this one was somebody else, Glennon Doyle. I think this one was Glennon Doyle, who said, it's not my job to smother my children with my mothering. It's my job to mother the world. And, and I see particularly mothers of special needs children's mothers whose children have had something outside of the box of what we consider regular childhood, take that message intuitively and mother the world by mothering their child. So you are changing, what governors are expected to do in
what local government is expected from the education departments.
And that will benefit so many children that your brain can't even.
Actually, my daughter is now a published author as well. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of Donna Kozik. She does like gratitude books. And so in just like 200 words or less, you do a page of what you're grateful for.
Congrats to her.
Yeah. And so, you know, she did hers last year. She's done it again this year, about where she got offered a placement in a library, you know, so she was able to do stuff, and you can see her, she's like a peacock, you know. They thought I was really good, so they asked me to do this, and so she's written about that this year in the book. It's due to come out in January, so she's going to be a multiple best-selling author, even though she couldn't read a few years back. Yeah, so and lots of people can do it, and you just have to give them that motivation.
That's awesome.
One of the things that stood out to me was when we all got super excited when I asked you if you reread some of the things that you used to write, and you're just like, dang, I am so insightful.
Yeah. I mean, as well as the special hidden talents, I read again that Be Bold, Own Your Brilliance, and I was laughing my head off. I thought, blimey, because it is really a step-by-step guide. How do you feel? Do you ever consider yourself to be less than? And blah, 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 blah. Well, just realize that you're no less than anyone else. You're no more than anyone else. We're all who we are. And if you want to do this, then do this. If you don't want to do that, do that. If you don't do nothing at all, that's your decision. You know, that sort of book, you know, but it was funny.
Thank you so much, Chineme, for being here with us. Now, what happens at the end of the day is I'm going to give you a choice. Monique and I are going to end the day, and we usually recap some patterns and talk about a couple of bLU Talks things that are coming up. If you would like to join us, you are more than welcome to stay with us for the next probably 10 minutes. And if you want to leave, feel free to leave, but you're here if you want. Are you going to stay? Oh, okay, perfect. So let's recap the day. And I know, Chineme, you only have your interview. You didn't see all the interviews yet. But what were some patterns that we've noticed throughout the day? And I'm going to start with Monique this time. Have you noticed any patterns?
Yeah. Something that I've noticed is that people are a lot more in tuned to themselves through the process of writing, right? Like you were saying, you read it, you're like, wow, I'm smart. Whoever said, I said that, and people have, throughout our conversations have been like, yeah, I'm sharing myself with you. I had to put it down. I had to get it out. I had to, and so really understanding who they are, I think their writing came in the middle of it and really helped them to process and get towards, their space where they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I say that there is no time like the present. That was therapy for me. It got me out of bed. It got me, moving again. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
And you brought that up when I was asking about patterns, and that was very much a pattern of the day. Okay. How everybody who was talking about writing or speaking, mostly writing today, was expressing just how much healing happens when they sit themselves down and they write that book, or they write that chapter, or whatever it happens to be. Thanks. One of the other patterns I noticed is we talked a lot about connection. We talked a lot about expression. And I like that patterns came up right at the very first interview that was like, yeah, writers like to look at patterns and they're very self-aware. And I was like, I love this part. The interweaving of health, which everybody talked about, as well as the conversation of wealth that comes along with that.
Yeah. One thing my accident taught me is that your health is the most important thing, because without it, you can't get the wealth. When I was stuck in my bed, I didn't know what to do. So I made sure I did all my research from all around the world to see what I should be taking for my body to get stronger, and I spent fortune. I still spend a fortune on supplements, but it's worth it. It's worth it to be able to do stuff,
Yeah. It's like I can walk because I have 5 supplements. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but a lot of people I mean, the cost puts them off because it is very expensive, but I'd rather pay and be able to make more money than not pay.
Investing in yourself. That's another pattern that we've seen, is investing in yourself, and growth comes in so many different ways. And so giving yourself this ability to grow is really key.
Yeah. So health is your wealth.
So before I go on my little monologue of all the Blue Talk stuff, Monique, you've been here all day. Is there any sort of comment? I do want to say thank you so much.
No, thank you. This was a ton of fun.
Monique, you're part of the Blue team, are you? Blue Talks team?
I am one of the members. Yes.
Okay, right. Okay.
So Monique, do you have any comments, I guess? We're just going to phrase it that way, about today in general, whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So when I was writing my book, and I think I addressed this before, I had a lot of, and I like the phrase of imposter thoughts. We're not going to call it syndrome anymore. They're thoughts. Yeah. They come and go, right? Because you address them and then they go away. And I remember someone was like, I was like, I don't know. I'm just not, no one's going to read it. Who cares? No one wants to hear my voice. They were like, you are literally a Harvard graduate and a physician. How do you feel like no one wants to hear the thing you have to say? Ooh. Right? And then this person said, there are people dumber than you who are out there speaking louder than you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that put me in check in a way that was like, oh my God, they're right. There are people who are significantly dumber than me. The only difference is they're louder than me at this point in time.
Yeah.
And so to get loud, this is part of it, amplifying our message, being out there, having these conversations, letting people know that you've written books, you have a message, you have something to share, you have created something that you needed. I guarantee you someone else needs it too. And so do that thing over and over again. Be louder. Because you have the right to be louder. Because again, and I don't know if this is not nice to say on the internet, but there are people dumber than you. There are people much dumber than you. They're just being louder than you. That's the only difference.
IQ, EQ, like experience, all the ways.
People just make stuff up on the internet nowadays. They're just like, making all sorts of things up, and you're like, what? None of that makes sense. But someone's listening, going, oh yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to celebrate Blue and all things coming. This is just day one of a 5-day Blue Talks Amplify Your Message event.
Every day, you say.
5 days. We do this for 5 days straight, where we're live for 4 hours a day.
So am I the last one?
You're the last one for today, yes.
Right, yeah.
We'll have 5 more people tomorrow, 5 more the next day. 5. It's all good. So this is only day one. There are 4 more days left. And we have a free networking on Wednesday, which I need to write a post about, at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 3:30 p.m. Atlantic, which is my time, just to do it in my brain. It's free to come. Now, this particular networking is an important one because it's the one before our Experts Boot Camp that's coming up on Friday the 17th, the 18th, and then the 19th. And the Experts Boot Camp, for those who don't know, is for speakers, for authors, for podcasters, for somebody who has a message that wants to share their message through those forms and other such related forms.
Yeah. Is that this week or next week?
It's a free boot camp where we teach you things.
No, I actually blocked it out in my calendar, but I can't remember which days it was. So
the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th. So Friday through Sunday. Yeah. And I am your MC, so I get to play with you there too. But it's just a weekend packed full of hundreds of people who want to share their message as well. We learn how to find gigs. We learn about how to apply for a TEDx. We have celebrity guest speakers. We have all kinds of cool things.
Yeah, sounds great.
Get your pre-ticket, okay? And then, of course, part of the brand is we have books. And I have to celebrate like this is me.
Oh, great.
Hey, I'm on there too.
Oh, are you on the first one?
Oh, no, I'm on the second one.
Oh, I don't have the second one. I only have the 1st and the 8th with me right now. I have to order number 11.
Somewhere in my message.
Laura, that reminds me. Remember I asked you whether you'd spoken to Heidi about my book chapter and my thoughts?
I think I forwarded your email.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and you said to contact you at the end of last week, but I haven't done yet. So I just thought I'd see, because you haven't heard anything from her.
I don't deal anything with any of the other parts. I do Amplify, I do networking, and then I just MC the boot camp, and that's like all I do.
No.
Otherwise, I'm just like all of you who are like part of Blue Talks community, and I'm an attendee.
So you too, you started like I've just started.
Actually, I was involved before Blue even got started.
Okay.
I met Corey on stage in, I can't remember if it was 2014 or 2016. I think it was 2016. And he didn't start Blue until years later.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm actually wondering, seeing Corey's face, I wonder if I've met him. Do you know whether he's been on the Marketers Cruise? Because on the 2014, I took my daughter with me in 2014, and we have a picture with someone who looks remarkably like him. The two of us and him.
There we go. There's Corey.
There's the man of the hour.
Yeah, the man of the hour. That's Corey.
Yes, he looks like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then there's his latest book.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. So, my lighting. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank every single one of my guests. Thank you.
Lovely meeting you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching live. Thank you, everyone who's watching on the replay. And again, we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Same bad channel, same bad time. So if you found us on YouTube or LinkedIn or online TV, we'll be back. Okay. Much love. See everyone tomorrow. I'm going to click the end stream button and sing and dance.
Bye.